Chapter 19.
River Colden. I'm coming with you to Arizona, Sky demanded after he barged into my room without even a single greeting. Hello to you too, and the answer is no. I told him as I continued packing, which just consisted of me throwing whichever shirts I could find that were ideal for a city that doesn't even hit a negative temperature. Until now, I still don't understand how she came about with choosing one of the hottest places in the state. Doesn't she or her wolf feel warm? I shrugged the thought away. Not really the important thing right now. I wasn't asking. I'm going because I want to, and in case you've forgotten, I'm the one who found her in the first place. Sky stomped his way closer to the bed, and now that I was looking at him closely, he really has grown up. Because of what happened 5 years ago, we hadn't bonded the way I wanted to. He was my only sibling, and yet we weren't even able to grow up as real brothers. He avoided me for most of his time after the incident, only being forced to hang out when we needed to eat or train together. Other than that, I was somewhat non-existent to him. I let out a deep breath. And I really appreciate that you did. You have no idea how much good you've done. Sky's blue eyes darkened as he looked at me. When I was born, I was named River because my parents immediately saw the color of the river in my eyes. But with Sky, they saw the embodiment of the sky with his hair and eyes, thus the name. Right now, though, with the way he got angrier at me, his eyes were starting to look like the clouds waiting for a thunderstorm to happen. And you have no fucking idea how much I had to endure after losing the only person I considered my sister. But you didn't care. You were too busy fucking your pathetic mate. I pursed my lips and clenched my fists tight. His words are venomous, and I could tell it comes from a deep root of hatred towards what I did. I couldn't blame him, but I also don't want to encourage his behavior. Watch your mouth, Sky. I'm still your alpha, and as bad as what Ivy's done, she is still your Luna. I remind him, but this doesn't shake him. Not even a little bit. He scoffs. Exactly. You know all the shit the stupid bitch has done, and yet you still keep her. How pathetic does that make you too? Suddenly, all my resolve to keep my cool disappears out of the window. Get out. Get the fuck out of my room. I tell him with a strong tone as I point to the door, eyes piercing through his. I know I fucked up, but I'm trying to fix it. I wish others would see that and just give me a fucking break. Damn it. He rolled his eyes before turning away and walking towards the door. But just as he was stepping out, he left one last comment that made my blood boil. She's never going to say yes to you, big brother. Just an advice. Quit while you're at it and just stick to getting an heir out of your beloved mate so she could at least be useful to this pack. Before I could say anything else, he slammed the door shut. Fuck. I screamed in anger, and I had so much pent-up rage that I accidentally punched a hole through the top of the headboard. Well, shit. Note to self, get someone to fix that before I leave. I tell Zane to handle things while I'm gone, and Aspen to keep his shit 110%. I can't have either of them fucking up. The pack's already going through so much, and I just have to hope that me being gone for a few days won't totally drag us down to the gutter, or else we're all screwed. I'm halfway to my car when I hear footsteps running towards me. Damn it. I was hoping not to have to face her. That's why I chose the earliest flight possible. She must have heard from someone that I was leaving. Where are you going? She asks, panic and confusion on her face. I have duties. Go back inside. You're not even wearing a coat. I tell her, not out of care for her per se, but only for the fact that if others see she's just wearing see-through lingerie, then they'll know something is up, and rumors will spread, and by then it'll be a fire that will be too hard to put out. No, I want to know the truth. Tell me the truth. She demands as she walks closer to me and pulls on my coat. Her eyes start to form tears, and for a second, a very quick and fleeting second, I feel guilty. Then it disappears after I remember all the shit she's done. With one hand, I push away her hold on me. She looks at me shocked and bitter. It's funny how you ask for the truth now, but back then you only ever cared about lying. My words are straight to the point, and I know she understood each one of it. Good. Get back inside and don't do anything stupid while I'm gone. I mean it, Ivy. You're walking on a thin line here. I remind her before continuing to walk to my car, and minutes later, I'm driving away as she stands there completely still. Finding Keira is a pain in the ass. I thought it would be much easier than this, since we already knew her address, but Arizona is hot as hell, and every move I make, I think I'm shedding 1 pound away with all my sweat. Oh, thank fuck. I breathed out in relief when I finally found the hotel, because the taxi I got dropped me off in another damn city, because they both had the same name. I had to wait for another taxi in this godforsaken heat, and even after changing into merely just a shirt and shorts, I was still warm. How the hell did Keira survive this? As soon as I walked into the hotel, eyes widened and they followed my every move. Clearly, not many people here encounter the way I look. I'm not surprised. Anywhere outside Northern Europe, our physical features are considered rare. I march on, not letting myself get distracted, and reach the front desk. The attendant blinks at me for a few seconds before snapping out of it. Sorry, hi, do you have a reservation? She asks, and I give her my name while she types some stuff. So, is your stay here for business or pleasure? Now it's my time to blink at her, confused. Do people just flat out ask someone here for pleasure? Huh? She must have noticed the confusion in my face because she elaborates. I mean, what's the purpose of your visit in our little quaint town of Sedona? I'm just curious because we don't see a lot of... She looks down at her screen for a quick second. Norwegians around here? She gives me a big smile. Oh, that's what she meant. Yeah, guess not. Well, I'm here because I want to bring my ex-girlfriend back even if I have to drag her ass to the plane against her will. I'm visiting a friend, I tell her with a smile. How wonderful. Your friend must be excited, she says before handing me a key card to my room. Right. I hope so too. But I have a feeling that would be the complete opposite. I don't waste a lot of time. I only have 5 days, 7 days maximum, to stay here and find her, so after dropping off my things and taking a cold as fuck shower to refresh me, I'm outside again. The heat is killing me. I feel like I'm already sweating buckets, and I just stepped out of the air-conditioned hotel lobby seconds ago. The funny thing is that others around here are even wearing jackets because apparently it's fall season. I have no idea what they're talking about because fall in Norway always already had inches of snow piled up on the ground, while here, all I see are desert and sand. I need to find Keira. Fast. I get a taxi and give him the address of Keira. But it seems like everybody here is too confused or is just terrible at their job because we're lost. Again, we go around in circles, and finally, we drive into a street where the houses all look somewhat alike. There's a certain sense of suburbia around here, and while there are big and huge houses that look like they're expensive, there are also small ones that seem fit for about a family of 3. Suddenly, I think of Keira and the 5 years she's been here. Would she have a family? Is that why she lives here? Fuck, the thought makes my chest feel tight, but I push it away to look for her house. My eyes are like eagles as they turn left and right, scanning each house, searching for the exact one I saw on Earth. There, I shouted to the driver, and he abruptly stepped on the brake, almost making me hit my head on the back of his seat. Damn it. Can you stay here? I just need to check something. I asked the taxi driver, and he may suck at directions, but he's the only ride I got. And if Keira isn't here, I still have one other place to go to. I scan the outside thoroughly and immediately sense that chances are nobody's here. It's because I hear no sound from the inside and where there are car tracks, but no car. I knock on the door and ring the doorbell just in case, but after a few tries without anyone coming or making any sound, I conclude that this place was unsuccessful. The next and last stop was Sedona Hospital, which is about half an hour away, and the closer we got, the more I started to get nervous. Earlier, I knew instantly that she wasn't there, so I didn't feel any type of anticipation of seeing her. Right now, though, the thought of her most likely being at the hospital and seeing her again after so many years has my stomach in knots. Shit. Get yourself together, River. It's just Keira. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure she misses you just as you do her. It'll be a damn good reunion, for sure. I reassure myself constantly in my head, but I know deep down it's all just a facade because I have doubts bigger than the red rocks around this place. When we get to the hospital, I know immediately it's the right place because I remember the front from the news segment. There was a lady standing here talking about the accident, and there was chaos behind her. And a few minutes later, Keira flashes on the screen. It was unexpected, absolutely out of the blue. Like none of us would have predicted finding her would be from seeing her on television. But alas, things worked out, and I know that seeing her was fate, that it was the moon goddess's sign, and I'm bringing her back soon enough. After one last deep breath, I take a step forward and let the sliding glass door open, and in I go. It's noisy as fuck, that's what I first noticed. The reception area is full of screaming and crying people, ranging from babies to adults. I've never been to a real hospital. Wolves don't get sick, and thank the goddess for that. I pushed through, walking to the desk, but I had to stand in line for what felt like half an hour because there are old people in front of me, and they either can't hear what the receptionist is saying or the other way around. Finally, it's my turn. Once again, she blinks at me first, just as the hotel receptionist did earlier. She clears her throat and gives me a wide smile. How may I help you? Yeah, I'm looking for someone. She works here. At least I hope she does. Works? Doctor? Nurse? Medical technician? Psychiatrist? Oncolo? She goes on and on about the different roles, and I don't know what the hell to say because I had no clue what Keira does. All I saw was her face in a uniform. How the fuck am I supposed to know which one it was for? I'm not sure, but her name's Keira. Keira Akari. I know she still uses her first name because I saw it on the name tag on her uniform, but the last name, I'm not so sure. And right now, I'm desperately hoping that she hasn't changed it either, because she wanted to or because she got married. But by the look on the woman's face, I think I've hit the nail on the head. She was about to say something, her mouth already half open, when someone pops up from the side. Someone crazy tall, I think about my height, and that says a lot. He also looks younger, probably the same age as me too. I could tell he's a doctor because of the white coat, and now he's talking to the woman about something involving some kind of surgery. I'm impatient and pissed that he took her attention away from me when I was about to get an answer, but I have no choice but to wait. Yeah, he's looking for Nurse Keira. The woman says, and I am back in focus. This guy knows Keira? He turns to face me, and I'm not going to lie. He's got looks. Not the same as I do, but he's definitely not bad to look at, and I'm sure many would agree too, because it's only been about a few minutes and half of the girls, and even boys, around this area are either gawking at him or me. I'd say mostly me. Keira Akari, you're looking for her? He says her name, and my heart skips a beat. I nod my head. Yeah, she works here, doesn't she? Why the hell won't they give me confirmation? When he nods his head, I feel a weight on my chest lift off. I'm one step closer to finding her. So, where can I find her? Is she here? Can I talk to her? I tilt my head to the side, scanning the back to see if I could get a glimpse of her, but I'm disrupted when tall doctor steps to the side and blocks my view. I narrowed my eyes on him, and he did the same. Is he threatening me? I don't like being threatened, and I sure as shit don't like where this is going too. First, how do you know Keira? We don't just let strangers around here. This is a respectable place. He says as if trying to insinuate something, and that makes me clench my fist tightly. I muster a smile so as not to show that I'm pissed off. My name is River Colden. I'm an old friend from her old place back in Norway. I don't know what the hell Keira told these people about her past, but she's got to have said something about where she came from. I just hope I'm not too far off. He raises his brow. Maybe I got it right. I cleared my throat, and because I can't stand this man staring me down, I need to know who he is and his connection with Keira. And you, how do you know her? He grins, and that irritates every cell in my being, but I had no idea that would be the least of my concerns until... I'm Dr. Chad Manning. He lets out his hand, and his grin grows wider. I'm her boyfriend. What the fuck? Passed. I promise you'll like this. Do you really think I'd give you something you won't like? River flashes me an innocent smile as he holds out a tart-like food, but the crust is pink and the cream is yellow. To my 11-year-old brain, who's never seen such a thing, it looks like an alien's food. But because I trusted River the most, I took it from him and slowly but surely took a bite. Suddenly, there's an explosion of flavors in my mouth. I taste vanilla, but mostly something sweet like a fruit, maybe a berry. But I can't pinpoint it. It's so good, though, that I devour the tiny thing in seconds. River grins at me. I told you you would like it. I feel my cheeks blushed a little as he pulls up a tissue to my mouth and wipes something off. Embarrassment floods my face when I think of crumbs all over my mouth, but it's mostly giddiness that is running through my head, because I can't believe he just did that. I've had a crush on this boy since I knew what crushes were. I think I was around 7 years old when I was starting to get an idea about it, because wherever River went, or whatever he did, I always wanted to follow. When he ate something and said he liked it, I would try it immediately, and even if I didn't like it, I'd say it was good so as not to hurt his feelings. Fortunately, River didn't seem to find it weird, and he seemed to like my company too. So when his parents asked him what he wanted for his birthday, which was a day before Christmas, he answered a trip to an amusement park, and he wouldn't go unless I was with him. It's called cloudberry cream. It tastes tarty and sweet, right? Come on, we can get more over there. Before I could say anything else, he's already taken my hand and we're running and running. I don't care about anything else because when he holds me, everything else around me disappears. Suddenly, the crowd in the area is gone, and the upbeat music playing around the area starts to tune out. All my eyes can see is his hand holding mine and the back of his head. His short silver hair ends just about an inch above the nape of his neck, and it looks so soft to touch. I know we're young, and we're just silly kids, but I also know that I don't think or feel this way about anyone else the same age as me. When I'm with River, I'm 10 times happier, and I never want the day to end. I hope he feels the same way too. Present. The Phoenix Amusement Park is everything and more that Neo has dreamed of. And maybe even me too, because it's been a while since I've stepped into one. And the first and last time I went was a memory I would rather forget. My mind flickers with thoughts from that time, and I tried to brush it away, but the smile on River's face when I had one too many cloudberry creams flooded my mind and made my heart ache instantly. Neo squeezes my hand, and I'm brought back to the present. I look down at him, and he's pointing towards something. I want to try that, Mommy, he says, and I look for where he's pointing at. That's when I see a stall for desserts, various desserts with a pop of colors, some I've never even before seen. Sure, my love. I give him a smile, and we walk up to the place while Neo jumps excitedly. We've been here for hours now and have ridden more than 10 rides, but he still has so much energy. If I let him eat these sweets, he'll have even more, but I figured it's his special day, so I allow him to indulge in whatever he wants. Which one do you want, sweetie? I asked him, and he's hard at thought until he points to a picture of what looks like tiny apples covered in chocolate, and then decorated with ears to make it look like a cartoon character. It says candy apples on the menu. And just as I was about to order one, another person comes up to us and the little girl next to him shouts, "Candy apples too." "Oh, I'm sorry, but we only have one of those left," the lady in the store says with a pout. But we were here first?" I glanced over to the lady and then to the burly man. He's got a cap on and a very scruffy beard, so you can't really see his face much. Pretty much the only thing I could tell was the darkness in his eyes with a mix of, is that red? My gaze goes down to the little girl who is the stellar opposite of who she is with. Colorful tutu dress and different accessories on her hair. She has dark burgundy red hair and freckles all over her tiny face. Her smile is infectious, much unlike her guardian who looks somewhat dead inside. Neo tugs at my shirt and I turn to him. "It's okay, Mommy," he says with a smile before turning to face the little girl. "Do you want to share?" He asks, and I'm surprised by his sudden proposition and feel slightly bad because I didn't even think of that. The little girl's eyes beam like the smile on her face before she nods her head with eagerness. A few minutes later, both kids are now holding half a candy apple. "Thank you." The little girl runs up to Neo, and the smile on my son's face looks different. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but somehow I think he's blushing? Oh my goddess, is he getting his first crush? You're welcome. My name is Neo, he says as he lets out his hand and the little girl giggles. She's cute, and if I had a daughter, I wouldn't mind having one like her because she seems very nice and full of energy. Hi, Neo. Nice to meet you. Before she could finish her sentence, the man next to her grabs her hand and turns her away from us. Trinity, we should go. The smile on her face disappears. Well, on Trinity's face, I guess. Hey, what's your problem? They're just talking. I come up to the man because as much as I don't want to confront him, I'm not going to let my son's new friend / possible crush be abruptly taken away from him. The man looks away from me. He doesn't want to meet eye to eye, and he mutters something under his breath that I don't hear. But it's clear he's not pleased by the situation. He's turned away for a few seconds, almost as if he's talking with someone. That's what I look like when I used to mind Link. But I haven't done that in years, so I don't know. Plus, it's highly unlikely they were a wolf. Maybe I was missing my old wolf life and imagining these things. A few seconds later, he turns to Trinity. You have 1 hour, then we go back to the hotel where your brother is waiting for you. Trinity smiles again. She nods his head in agreement with the man before turning to Neo. Do you want to play? She asks, and Neo whips his head up at me for confirmation. It doesn't take long after I allow him until they're running around all over the place together. I have fun watching my little boy enjoy his time even more with his new friend. They go on rides and laugh at the smallest things. They're so carefree, so unproblematic, and it brings me back to a time where I felt the same many, many years ago. The man next to me clears his throat, and I almost forgot that he was there. I look over my shoulder to glance at him, and I see him looking at me suspiciously, as if I'm going to do something bad to Trinity. If anything, I should be the one suspicious. I'm the one wearing a sundress, looking completely harmless, while he looks like he's trying to hide his identity. I exhaled a deep breath after internally telling myself that I shouldn't judge others. I was raised better than that, so to call a truce, I inch closer to him and start a conversation. So, are you guys from here? I asked, hoping he wouldn't find the question invasive, but by the sudden stiffness in his body, I think he did. There's an uncomfortable silence in the air, save for the happy screams of the kids, especially Neo's and Trinity's, as they ride the little helicopter, before he answers no to the question. I wanted to ask where they were from, but I think that would be too much seeing as a one-word answer from him already made him uncomfortable. Cool. Us too. We're from Sedona originally, but we're here for his birthday. I tell him, and only his eyes turn to me with a look that pretty much says, what do you want me to do about it? I gave him an awkward smile before going back to my original spot, which was away from him. I guess that's the end of that conversation. When Neo and Trinity hop off the ride, the two are happy but exhausted. The man informs Trinity that the 1 hour is up, and though the two are sad, they're also happy they got to spend some time together. Just before leaving, the man surprises me when he lowers down to meet Neo's eye level and puts a red cap on his head that looks like he just bought it. Your mom told me it was your birthday, so happy birthday. That's all he says, and I can't even see if he's smiling or not, but just his words mean enough. It turns out he was listening, and he did care, even if just a little. On the ride back home when Elisha came to pick us up, as she went ahead to the hotel earlier, Neo couldn't stop talking about his newfound friend and admiring his new red cap. I smiled to myself as I couldn't help but think that everything does work out in the end. Honey, wait, you need sunblock. I run up to my overly excited little boy who's practically halfway out of the room to slather the sun protectant all over his skin. It's around 5 in the afternoon now, but the sun is still up around here. And even after a full day of activities in the park, Neo isn't stopping. He caught a glimpse of the pool as we were walking up to our hotel room, and because of that, nap time turned into pool time. Mommy, come on, let's swim already, Neo pleads as he pulls my cover up. I glance over to Alicia, who's giggling as she watches us. Is it all right if we go? I ask because I don't want to just leave her all alone after already being gone for half of the day. Oh, of course. Go right ahead. Enjoy the day as much as you can, please. I'll be in my room, so if you need anything, don't hesitate to call me. She smiles before gesturing to us to go already. Goddess, she really is the kindest woman ever. A few minutes later, we arrived at the pool area, which is a massive infinity pool facing the red rocks. It's a gorgeous view, and the tiny cabanas along the area make a great relaxing spot. As I was walking towards one of the cabanas, I stopped when I felt something different. I couldn't figure out what it was or what was going on inside of me, but I've never experienced this before. There's a strange magnetic pull that's luring me somewhere, and a scent that's slowly but surely overpowering every other smell around me, but I'm not complaining. In fact, it feels weird but so nice that I can't help but follow it. I walked a few steps forward, holding Neo's hand, and the more I walked, the stronger the sensation got. "What is this fee? Trinity?" Neo said suddenly, and when I turned to the other side, he was right. The little girl we met earlier is right there, but instead of the man that was with her earlier, there was someone else next to him. I'm unable to think of anything else, though, because my heart is racing inside my chest, and Fuyu has been awakened with one thought, and one thought only. Mate, Keira, that's our mate. Oh my goddess, Titus Bane. I tore apart the barrier as I ran through it in one go. My wolf Phoenix is on fire right now. Not literally, but figuratively, as our heartbeat was a mile a minute from the adrenaline rushing through our veins. I almost forgot that there were others around me until I turned around and widened eyes filled with fear stared back at me. "What are you all looking at? Start building this barrier again." My growl echoed all over the woods and shook the ground a little. But, Alpha, it took us two weeks to build that. One of the wolves spoke to me and I started walking to him, each step creating a thud sound on the ground as my wolf was much bigger and much heavier than everyone else. And I towered over him, his wolf obviously shaking from fear. "Is it my problem you took 2 weeks to build this piece of shit? One fucking wolf can tear this apart? Do you want rogues to enter our pack, then what? Take your pups? Kill your partners? No, you don't. So get back to work." I told them, and immediately they scrambled the area and started doing as they were told. I hear a couple of murmurs. They're annoyed and pissed off that all their hard work had just gone to shit in a matter of minutes, and usually I would threaten those that try to talk behind my back, but right now I have somewhere else to be, and I don't have time for their bullshit. Phoenix and I run back to the pack house, which is a massive construction of bricks and stones that form into a medieval-looking castle. It's been with our pack for goddess knows when, continuously passed on to the next alpha. In this case, it was my turn after my parents died, both the former Alpha and Luna. I was only 16 years old, barely at that, since it was my birthday when they died. It was a targeted attack, not just from our pack, but the others around us too. We caught the rogues who did it, but it wasn't like they could bring them back. Hate and fury lived inside of me since that day they died, and I had to take over the role of being the alpha. Many others said I was far too young and inexperienced, and supposed they had a point, but it's exactly because of that I worked 1,000 times harder, trained 1,000,000 times more. It was years that I immersed myself in that kind of lifestyle. I never cared about anyone or anything else. All I cared about was becoming the strongest, the smartest. When everyone else around me was finding their mates, I couldn't care less. I had to protect this pack. It's what my parents would have wanted, and I wasn't going to disappoint them. Over my dead body, I stopped when I got a mind link from Cyrus, one of my strongest warriors in the pack and my beta. He's an emotionless bastard and his size is terrifying to others. But that's exactly why I tasked him to look out for my younger sister, who is, as of right now, having the time of her life. "Alpha, Trinity wants more time at the park. Is that okay?" he asks. Trinity was 7 years old. She was born just a year before our parents passed away, and she's the only living blood relative I have, so I take care of her as much as I can and give her what she wants. Unlike me, she grew up like a ray of sunshine. We were the complete opposite, but she loved me more than anyone amidst our differences. Okay, 1 hour. I mind linked back to Cyrus before going back to what I was doing, which was shoving a few clothes in a small bag. Today was a day Trinity had been waiting for in weeks. Because of the kind of life we live, it's hard for her to come out to the open world, so once in a while, I let her choose a day, and she gets to do whatever she wants for the whole duration. This time, she's chosen to go to the amusement park and then to a hotel with a pool afterwards. It might be a simple thing for others, but for her, it's special. She was merely just a baby to understand anything when our parents died. So growing up, I tried to shield her from all of it. She may not still fully understand what happened, but she knows that our parents aren't coming back, and all we have is each other. After gathering my things and quickly washing up, I head to the back where the garage is, and there are cars readily available for who needs it, but it's not entirely for everyone. I instigate strict rules in my pack so they know their places and their tasks because I like order. Anything out of order must be set right or will be terminated. No questions asked. What are you doing? Did I tell you to take a break? Get that part of the barrier up before I come back tomorrow. I shout at a group of wolves who were seated under a tree and they panic, quickly running back to their posts. I know what they think of me. That I'm kind of an asshole and that I'm ruthless, but I'm only like this because I need to be. I was made alpha, made to rule the whole pack. Far too young, and at that time, if they think you're incapable, chances are they'd form an allegiance against you to take you down because they believe you're not strong enough. And no way in hell was I going to let that happen, so I did what I had to do. I used anger and violence to stake my claims. Damned if they consider me merciless and cruel. What matters is that this pack continues to be the strongest around here and considered one of the greatest. Like I said, I do what I have to do, even if it means shedding some blood. Titus, I heard a squeal coming from behind me, and when I turned around, my little sister was running towards me with a wide smile. While everyone else thinks I'm cold-hearted, it's this one little girl that thinks otherwise. Trinity, in her colorful dress, jumps up into my arms and hugs me tightly. She smells like sun and sweat, probably because she's been running around the park all day. Cyrus is behind her, looking more like her kidnapper than her guardian because of how big and ominous he looks, but as long as he's done his job of protecting her, I don't mind. I made a new friend today, she says proudly, her eyes almost closing from how big her smile is. Her little nose with tiny freckles on it is scrunched up as well. Unlike Trinity, who got most of her looks from our mother, I am both a mix of our parents. While she has all-around dark auburn hair, mine is a dark black but turns a dark shade of red under the sun, and while she has light blue eyes, mine are a mix of blue and green. I glanced over to Cyrus with a raised brow, almost as if to say, "New friend?" Because my orders when they go out is never to let her around humans. It's too risky, even if they don't know who we are. I just don't like meddling with them. Cyrus shrugs his shoulders, and I know I won't get anything out of him. And who is that new friend of yours? Did you have a lot of fun with her then? I asked her as we walked to the pool. Even after a whole day of amusement park rides, this girl still has the energy of a football quarterback before a game. I expected her to be tired out so we could just stay inside the hotel room and be back at the pack early in the morning, but she pleaded with me to go swimming until I gave in. His name is Neo, and he's younger than me, but he's really nice and cool. She tells me, and I stiffen at the realization that her new friend wasn't a girl. It was a boy. I threw daggers towards Cyrus, and I could have sworn I saw a teasing smirk formed on his lips. Smug bastard. I refrained myself from getting worked up over the thought of my baby sister with a boy and let myself relax knowing that she will never see him again. And I don't say maybe because I know she never will. Chances are the boy is from out of town and we only go out of the woods a few times. By then, he'll be long gone or they won't remember each other. I fake a smile towards Trinity. That's good you made a friend. I'm glad you had a good day. I told her, and just as we were entering the pool area, I sensed something off. It wasn't the kind of off where imminent danger was near, because I would know. I'm used to feeling those things before and during an attack. No, this was very different, and I can't tell if I like it or not. Phoenix is starting to get riled up inside of me, and I don't know what the hell his deal is, but the closer we got, the stronger it got too. When I inhaled deeply, an overpowering scent filled my sense of smell, and it almost threw me off balance. What the hell is that? It's got me hypnotized with just one whiff, and I can't deny it. I want Trinity? I heard a tiny voice call out my little sister's name, and when I turned, that's when it happened. When everyone around me was finding their mates, I was busy teaching a lesson to those who tried to cross the line with me. There were very rare times that I thought about it, that the idea of meeting my mate crossed my mind, but it only lasted for seconds until they're shoved in a deep and far-away part somewhere in my mind. I didn't hate the thought of having a mate, no. It wasn't anything like that. It was more on the fact that I knew the kind of life I lived, the kind of wolf I was. It wasn't one that should be with a mate. Mates were considered a weakness in our pack, in my pack, so I never engaged and never thought I was missing out on anything. But as I looked at her, golden eyes piercing through mine and gorgeous long raven locks draped over her chest, I knew that she was the one. There was no doubt about it. She was our mate. Phoenix practically shouted in my mind. My heart was racing inside my chest, wondering what to do. This would be the time to approach her, to tell her about the discovery. But instead, I turned around and focused on Trinity. And an even funnier thing? She does the same too. She turned away from me like nothing had just happened, like neither of us felt that sudden fire lit inside of us. The little boy she's holding hands with says something to her, and a few seconds later, he's walking towards us. My protectiveness towards Trinity is activated, and by instinct, I take a little step forward, blocking her from the boy. "Hi," the tiny person in front of me says, and most kids would be terrified of me. I would know because I've experienced it firsthand, but this boy doesn't even flinch when I look down to stare at him. "And who are you?" I asked without breaking eye contact. All of a sudden, Trinity takes a step forward so she could be standing in front of the boy. "This is Neo, the new friend I was telling you about." She explains, and I'm a little shocked at the coincidence, but I keep my composure. "I see. Thank you, Neo, for playing with Trinity," I said, trying my best not to seem awkward, but it's really not working out too well, especially now that my mate, whose name I don't even know, is taking steps towards us. Goddess, the closer she gets, the faster my heart beats. It doesn't help that the sun is like a spotlight on her, and she's like a golden angel with her olive skin all seen with her white bikini under a thin layer of cover-up. Fuck. Get it together, Titus. "Hi, Trinity. What a coincidence seeing you again. Are you staying here with your..." She pauses and gives me a second glance that makes my heart skip a beat. "With your dad?" "Dad? I'm not her dad." I was about to correct her when Trinity let out a chuckle. "Titus isn't my dad. He's my big brother," she says, and I nod my head in agreement. "Oh, I see," she says about a tone higher, and there's a flicker in her eyes that makes me wonder if she was relieved by that news. "Mommy, I want to swim with Trinity," the little boy named Neo says, and normally, no way in hell would I agree with it because, as I said, I don't like meddling with others, human or not, but I don't say no. Hell, I don't think I can even say anything as I'm a little too awestruck with the woman in front of me. "Is it all right if they swim together?" She turns to me and my heart thumps faster. Fuck, I've never felt this way before. My mind wants to say no, but god damn it, it's not letting me. "Yes, sure," I blurted out instead, and before I could take it back, the two kids jumped in and started enjoying themselves. What the hell? I'm not usually like this, but damn if this mate pull isn't making me do these absurd things. There's an awkward silence in between me and her before she starts walking away, and like a lost puppy, I follow her to the cabanas. Of course, I don't sit in her cabana, but I choose the one right next to it and hoped to the goddess she wouldn't find it creepy. Wait, what the hell do I care if she does? I shouldn't care. Right, I don't care about her. I don't ca. My thoughts are thrown out of the window when she stands up and takes off her swimsuit cover-up, revealing curves that have my mouth almost drooling. Or maybe I am already drooling. I closed my mouth and cleared my throat before she noticed. When she turns around, she looks at me for a few seconds, and Phoenix and I are melting with her look. And then she looks at us with a smile, and it's the most beautiful thing we've ever seen. Are you coming in for a swim? You should. She kneels down and cups some water with her hand and let it flow on her skin, making it shine, and I tried my best not to just take her with my lips. Damn it. Stop thinking about her like that. The water feels nice, she says, before diving gracefully, and I couldn't help it. My mouth almost dropped to the floor at her beauty. Thankfully, she's still under the water, so she can't see me gawk at her. Earlier today, all I wanted was to finish this day inside a hotel room, but it looks like my plans have changed. I have a flicker of hesitance before standing up and pulling my shirt off, then walking towards the pool. Fuck it. The weather's warm and the pool is cold, but most importantly, she's there. And right now, all I can think about is getting closer with her. Titus. That's his name. That's my mate's name. I've run it in my head over and over again, and yet I still can't comprehend how it was possible that the one I thought no longer existed because I've never encountered him for over 7 years is right here in the same place as me. What were the freaking odds? Well, apparently it was very high. Maybe this was the reason why all those years ago I was drawn to this place. Mommy, look! Uncle Titus can carry me on his shoulders. I heard Neo shout out, and though I've been trying to avoid looking at him because my heart can't contain itself whenever I do, now I had no choice. Slowly but surely I turned my head to the other side of the pool, and I saw Neo giggling as Titus lifted him up on his shoulder easily as if my son weighed like a piece of paper. The water dripped on his upper body, and as he lifted Neo up, every muscle on his chest, arms, and shoulders flexed and became even more prominent. Oh my goddess, I think I just got wet. And it's not just because of the pool water. I'm a little ashamed for thinking that around kids, but can you really blame me? I haven't touched a man, nor has a man touched me in 5 years. Chad was right. At this rate, I'll start forming cobwebs down there. I can't even talk to the opposite sex without freezing up. But then again, this is completely different because this is the man I've waited years for. And the most peculiar thing is, neither I nor him are even acknowledging that fact. Goddess, what is actually happening? That's very good, sweetie. I shout back to Neo, trying my best to keep myself composed, and so far I think I was doing a pretty good job. Just earlier, I even had the balls to invite him into the pool. I don't know where the hell that came from, but even Fuyu was having the time of her life with my actions. But now that Titus was here, completely topless and his every muscle on full display, my earlier found confidence was faltering away at just the sight of him. A shark! Aunt Keira, it's a shark! Trinity squealed as the tiny hands of Neo formed into a triangle/mini shark fin from under the water and popped up and started moving towards her. I couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle because of how adorable it looked. Titus crouched down the water, walking step by step with Neo still on his shoulders. Come here, love. We'll battle the shark, I told Trinity, and she swims as fast as she can with her small arms and legs. As soon as she came up to me, I placed her on my shoulders and did the same position as the 2 boys and lifted her up from the water. Trinity squealed in excitement, and Neo arose from under the water, ready for battle. Chicken fight, Neo declared, and the 2 kids moved from our shoulders, pushing each other's arms away playfully. Both Titus and I couldn't help but laugh. Earlier, he seemed extremely quiet and broody, like he didn't want to be there in the first place. But now, seeing him like this made me want him to go back to staying mysterious because my heart was beating so fast at the sound of his laugh and watching him smile. Ah! Trinity shrieked, and I felt her losing her grip and balance, and because we were connected to each other, I too could feel myself falling backwards. I was expecting to splash any second from now, but instead, I feel a strong grip around my waist as Titus swiftly pulls me in close to him, keeping me steady. I gasped out loud, and my heart was racing like crazy. I tried to speak, but all that came out were shuddery breaths. He's so close, oh my goddess. So close that his scent is all I can smell, and it's got me hypnotized just like his eyes. I'm at a loss for words as I stare into it. They're so beautiful, and they remind me of the northern lights back at home. It's a gorgeous mix of blue and green, and the longer I look at it, the more I feel like I'm falling into a trance, and as cliché as it sounds, I really, really don't want to stop falling. We won! We won. Neo started squealing in excitement, and this breaks me out of the spell I was trapped in. No, we didn't fall, Trinity protested. Can we go another round, please? She asked, and I couldn't help but smile at her competitiveness. I have a feeling she inherited the trait from someone. Next time, try. We should let our new friends get some rest first, Titus says with such calmness, yet you could still sense the command in his voice. Trinity contentedly agrees in seconds, and after placing her back down the pool, she asks Neo if he wants to go to the game room in the hotel. Oh, Mommy, can I? Can I, please? Neo turned to me with pouty eyes, and as much as I couldn't resist it, a part of me still wanted to stay in the water a little longer, as it was refreshing. Don't you want to swim a little more, my love? We can play in the game room before dinner, I told him, and now Trinity pouts. How about this? Titus joins in the conversation, surprising me. Cyrus can go and keep an eye on them, and we can stay here for a little while longer. Neo and Trinity jumped at the idea. Yes! There's a mere second of hesitance on my part, but eventually I gave in, the water tempting me completely. And minutes later, it was just the two of us. And the thousands of butterflies in my stomach as Titus stood merely inches away from me at the edge of the pool. I hadn't realized how long we had been here in the pool until we stopped and took a break, realizing that the sun in front of us was already setting. The sun began to dip below the red rocks, the fleeting colors of dusk beginning to fade away in front of our very eyes, and its colors painted the sky with brushstrokes of different colors, creating something that looked like a painting because it seemed much too beautiful to be real. The flecks of pink splattered across the vast sky creates a warm feeling inside of me, while the hues of reds and orange makes me feel like I'm being wrapped around petals of roses. Elisha was right. I did need this break because standing here with the water flowing around my body and watching the most magnificent thing I've seen in a while made me realize how much I've been missing out on. Years of just study, work, and taking care of Neo, though I didn't mind, still kept me busy, and I didn't have a chance to have a break like this, a moment or two to admire what was around me, and a little more specifically, who was around me. I still can't believe it. It feels like a dream and something completely unexpected, but every time I breathe in and his scent overpowers everything else, I remember that it's real and that he's really, really there. He quietly cleared his throat, taking me away from my thoughts and dragging me back to the present with him inches away from me, and the two of us with barely any clothes on. That's one way to meet your mate for the first time. Hey. The two of us speak up at the same time, and we let out an awkward chuckle. You can go first, he says, but I shake my head shyly, urging him to speak up first, and thankfully, he agrees. I just, wanted to ask you something, he says, his voice quiet but still deep. He turned to me, his whole body facing me, and his skin seemed like it was gleaming from the water, making him look even more radiant and handsome. I swallowed nervously as I felt our pull get stronger. Oh, goddess. Stand strong, Keira. I've never met anyone else outside of the woods, he continues, and though the sentence is likely a little vague for others, someone like me understood it quickly. He's never met another wolf around here, let alone a wolf that was connected to him like this, and I knew instantly where the conversation was headed, and that worried me. Where are you from? Keira. The way he says my name is like he's casting a spell on me, but I'm torn between being captivated or feeling torn because it's the exact question I didn't want him to know the answer to. Obviously, to others, to humans, it was just a normal question, but to us, to wolves, where you're from, says a lot about you more than anything else. It will tell your whole story, especially when you're 1,000 miles away from it. But alas, I have no choice but to answer. I would rather be truthful than to tell him a lie that will linger between us for goddess knows how long. It's a long and difficult story, but I took a deep breath as I looked away, unable to face him when I say it because I know he's going to figure it out immediately. From Norway. And as expected, silence fills the gap between us, and though I'm not directly looking at him, I know that he understands my situation, that I've been banished from my own pack. Titus Bane. This whole day has been unexpectedly wonderful, and that's coming from someone who doesn't do anything considered to be anything remotely close to that adjective. And yet, here we are. I tried so hard to resist it, to tell myself that I didn't want to be involved with someone like her. But who the hell was I fooling? In between the pull I had with her and Phoenix's continuous push for me to get closer with her, I couldn't resist any longer. Everyone in my pack would probably be floored to see me doing things such as swimming and playing in the pool or watching a damn sunset with a woman. But that's exactly what I've been doing, and I can't say that I regret any of it. Throughout this whole time, though, something in the back of my head remained. It was the question of who she really is, because someone like her, someone like us, just doesn't appear out of nowhere. Even more so that she seems different. She doesn't have another wolf hanging around with her except for her son, which means that chances are it's just him and her. A part of me already knew the answer to my own question, but hearing it from her still had me in shock. She was from Norway, she said. That's over 5,000 miles away from here, and it's the complete opposite of pretty much everything in Arizona. The weather, the people, the language. How the hell did she end up all the way here? I know it's weird, she continued again, and I felt bad for making her feel uncomfortable. But mate or not, she's still a stranger. I needed to be cautious, even more so since Trinity was here, and I would die to protect my little sister. She's the only one that's mattered to me my entire life. No, I told Keira, don't feel that way. I don't know what you went through or what you're still going through, but it doesn't make you any less of who you are. From what I've seen, you're a great mother, and your son really loves you. Don't let your past define you, Keira. I have no idea where all that came from, and right after saying it, I felt extremely vulnerable. I've never said things like that. Hell, I hate opening up to others, and the last time I ever did so was before my parents died. But this, I wasn't fully expressing who I was, per se, but talking like this was making others see me as soft, and I would never in a million years allow people to see me that way. But then she smiles, and god damn it, if that's not the most beautiful and hypnotizing smile I've ever seen. Fuck. I shake my head to pull me away from the trance that was taking a hold of me. I can't do this. I can't fucking do this. I'm just gonna say it. I tell her, and her smile disappears in seconds, and it felt like my heart was pierced, but I had to keep going. I'm not the type of mate you've been waiting for. She blinks at me, unsure for a few seconds, until the expression on her faces changes from confused to upset, and let me tell you, it takes every fucking part of my being not to take back what I just said. There's a few seconds that felt like minutes of agonizing silence as she just looks at me and I'm looking at her and taking in her every feature because I know damn well that this might just be the first and last fucking time I'm ever going to see her, that I'm ever going to see my mate. Are you? She starts to speak again and I'm clenching my fist so tightly under the water that I'm thinking seconds from now that the water will turn red. Her jaw clenches before she lets out a deep sigh. Rejecting me? Fuck. 4 words and it has me frozen on the ground and at a loss for words, my brain going haywire with all the thoughts running around in my mind. Am I rejecting her? I hadn't even thought of that. Don't do it, asshole. Phoenix says out of nowhere and I can feel him getting pissed. I have to. She deserves so much more and we sure as shit don't deserve someone like her. I tried to explain to him, but he's not having one bit of it. I swear to the goddess, you're not gonna fuck this up. We did some stupid shit, but she allowed us to meet our mate. Don't you think that's a sign? Are you fucking blind? Phoenix is fuming and I understand why. I understand very well, and as much as I didn't want to, I know I have to. He's not going to change my mind. I've only met her today and hung out with her for a short time, but I know that bringing her into my life will ruin her, and I don't want that to happen. At least, even if it was for just one day, we can have this one memory of us together. Yet I can't deny that a part of me also wished that we hadn't met in the first place, so I wouldn't have to do this to her. I inhaled a lungful of air before breathing out a deep sigh. Keira? The sudden voice from out of nowhere startled both of us, and when we turned, there was a man staring at us wide-eyed like he couldn't believe what he was looking at, and if I'm not mistaken, he also seemed enraged. What the hell is his problem? I thought his sudden, unwelcome appearance would be the most surprising thing out of this situation, but I quickly realized with one sniff that it wasn't that, but the fact that this man in front of us wasn't actually just human, but a wolf too. And by the horrified look on Keira's face right now, it's clear that they know each other. Maybe even a little too much. River Colden. You're... her. What? I looked at the man standing in front of me, and with every blink I made took in his features. Green eyes, light brown hair in an undercut style, strong jawline still prominent over a 5 o'clock shadow. This man had the looks that could pull any girl, and I say that with no homo. I just can't stop thinking. Was Keira one of the girls he managed to pull? Come on, old friend from her old place in Norway. He says with a light chuckle before gesturing for me to follow him. Where are we going? Are you taking me to Keira? I asked, remembering my sole purpose here. He grins. Cafeteria. It's lunch break, and yeah, sure, I'll tell you where she is, after I get my bagel. I silently followed him as I observed the place around me. It wasn't a small hospital, per se, but it also wasn't big. It's the city's main one, though, so it's obvious this is where most of the people go. I never saw Keira as a healer, or, well, in humans' terms, a medical personnel, I guess. She was always the warrior, the fighter in our pack. Maybe there's no way she can get a job like that here? My chest tightened at the thought of her having struggled all by herself when she arrived here, all alone. I wondered if she had enough money because my idiot ass didn't even care at that time. Hell, I didn't even watch her leave. As shameful as this was for me to admit, on that day she left, Sky was right. I was too busy with Ivy. Fuck. I cleared my throat and shook my head, taking my mind away from the past. That is the past, and this is the present. I'm here to make things better, to reunite with Keira and let her know that I was a total fuck-up and I've changed now. I just hope it's not too late. Hey, Dr. Manning, you look nice today. I looked up and saw a group of girls shoot looks over at him with eyes practically oozing with hearts. You mean always, he replies with such charisma that the girls almost faint on the floor. This was Keira's boyfriend? The thought boggled my mind as every second passed while we walked to the cafeteria. I could sense that he wasn't a wolf. At first, I debated it, but the longer I'm around him, the more I know he's not because of his mannerisms and his smell. There was no doubt that he was full human, but that makes this relationship even more strange. Why would Keira get into a relationship with a human? Did she really fall in love with him? Or maybe he was just there when she needed someone? Seeing as he's a doctor that has some tenure around here, maybe she became a nurse because of him. Finally, we reached the so-called cafeteria, which is just white walls and a line with people in front of trays of food. Chad gestures to me to sit down, and I wait impatiently as he gets his food. Where the hell is Keira? I've already been here for more than I wanted to. Damn it. My eyes are scanning the whole place for her. Her raven hair, her golden eyes, anything. Just anything that is remotely close to her. But with every black-haired girl that passes and it's not her, my heart breaks a little more. You can stare at every girl with black hair here, but it won't be her. Chad says as he smoothly slides himself into the connected chair on the table and takes a long sniff out of his bagel. He looks like he's in love with the thing. So you're saying she's not here? I asked, but deep down I was trying to control my urge to punch him because he made me waste half an hour for nothing. Then again, it's either here or waiting outside her house for her to come back from goddess knows where, and this was obviously the less stalkery choice. He takes a bite, which is half of the food, and savors it like he's in a cooking show, tasting food. What is up with this guy? It's like he's stalling for time. I'm running out of patience, so I get into it. I straighten my back and bore my eyes through his so he knows I mean business now. Dude, just tell me where she is so I can get out of your hair and you can go back to doing whatever it is you do. I told him straight. He looked up at me from his half-eaten bagel, brow raised in a questioning expression. A few seconds later, he slowly puts his food down and lets out a deep sigh. First of all, dude, he emphasizes the word, kind of mocking the way I said it. I try not to let that get to me, but my fists are clenched underneath the table. I'm a surgeon. That's what I do. It's not just whatever, he exclaims, and I'm continuing to lose my patience in this conversation. I'm about to stand up and just wait by the lobby and ask another nurse or doctor that knows something, because whatever Keira saw in this guy, I'm definitely not seeing it. It's you, isn't it? He asked, and my head jerked back to look at him so fast I might have strained it. What? Was the only thing I could say, because his question seems vague, but at the same time it somewhat says a lot. He raised his brow again, but this time in a manner as if he knows something that I don't. You're not just an old friend, are you? You're him. She never said any name, but I knew the second I saw you, you're the pretty boy that broke her heart. My heart thumped a second before my face scrunched up in confusion. Did he just say pretty boy? I'm not sure if those were his words or Keira's. I don't know how to respond to that. Does it matter? I just want to see her. He scoffs before shaking his head and finishing his bagel while I impatiently watch. She's not here. She's in Phoenix. He finally says something that is actually useful. Okay, but do you know where specifically? This is an urgent matter, so I need to see her as soon as possible. I say urgent because the sooner I see her, the faster I can get her back and we can go back home. Chad narrowed his eyes on me like he's not convinced, like he's debating whether or not to tell me. Look, I know you're her boyfriend, but I'm not going to do anything with her that she won't agree with. Maybe. Sort of. I mean, she'd want to go back home, wouldn't she? 5 years has been a long time. I'm sure she misses everyone and she'd want to go back. If not, then that's a different story. He starts to snicker, and I look at him confused. I'm not her boyfriend. What? You're not? The question comes out a little too ecstatic for my own liking, but I am pleased to know 6-footer here isn't with Keira. Well, I am her boy space friend. Kira's my best mate around here, but even if I'm not in that type of relationship with her, I still won't hesitate to teach you a fucking lesson if you hurt her. Again. Is he threatening me? Oh boy, if only he knew who he's messing with. All of a sudden, his eyes darkened as he bore them through mine. I know a lot of ways to cut up someone in the most painful way possible, Mr. River Colden. You'd be surprised at the amount of illegal things we learn in medical school. Yeah, he's threatening me, and I applaud him for his bravery and stupidity, and usually I would let them know to stay in their lane, but he's the only one that has any idea on where Keira is, so I just have to suck it up. I mustered a smile and put on a much more friendly tone. I have no plans on hurting her. Ever. I'm here to make amends, and I really hope that you can help me with that. I thought he didn't believe a single word I said, because the next thing I know is he's standing up and seemingly about to leave, but just before he turned, he said one last thing. Phoenix Haven Spa and Resort. Half an hour later, I've managed to secure a car rental, and I'm driving to wherever this location app on the phone says that place is desperately hoping that this is the last stop and where she really is. I thought I was hallucinating. I thought it was just some kind of terrible nightmare, and I must have fallen asleep in the car after I arrived in Phoenix, because right now, that seemed more plausible than what I was looking at. Keira is there. It's her. I know because she still looked as beautiful as before, maybe even more radiant. It's like she has a glow to her, as if being here in the sun has given her that ethereal luminescence, and I'm at a loss for words. But not just because of her beauty, but because she's not alone. Just a few inches away from her inside a pool is another man, and my heart is racing inside my chest because I can sense that this time, the man wasn't just human like Chad. This one was a wolf too. Keira! I blurted out, unable to contain myself any longer. This wasn't how I wanted us to see each other again after so many years. Hell, I honestly don't know how I wanted or expected it to go. All I know is that there wasn't supposed to be another guy next to her. Have different men always surrounded her all this time? Fuck, that pissed me off more than I wanted. I could see the horror in Keira's eyes. First, it was confusion on her face, but seconds later, I think when she finally realized she wasn't dreaming, she's staring at me like I'm the dead that came back to life, which isn't entirely too far off. She must have considered me dead to her because instead of waiting for me to walk up to her, She's pulling herself out of the water as fast as she can and striding away at the speed of light. I run to catch up to her, ignoring the other man still in the pool who's looking at us with cautious eyes. Now that Keira was out of the water, I could see her whole body, and I know I'm supposed to focus on talking to her, but I can't stop admiring how beautiful she looked. That damn bikini couldn't get any shorter, and it takes every part of me not to kiss her right there like I used to before. "Keira, where you go? Leave me alone," she shouts, not even waiting for me to finish what I'm saying. I don't blame her. Allura was right. Maybe Keira does really hate me now. Fuck, it's going to be much harder to convince her to come back with me at this rate. Plan B is looking so much easier. I brush the thought away as my priority right now is to at least get her to listen first. I continue to run after her, but I feel a tight grip on my arm out of nowhere making me stop. What the foo? I turned around and I came face to face with the man in the pool with her. I yanked my arm away from his hold, annoyed. What the hell is your problem? I drove almost 3 hours to get to this place, and now that she's here, some asshole is trying to stop me from getting to her. I'm fucking pissed and not in the damn mood for any more bullshit. I could care less if he was a wolf or not, too. She said to leave her alone, so why don't you make this easier for everyone and just go? He spoke up, and the jaw on his muscle ticked. Who the hell does this guy think he is to be giving me orders? He looks like he's about to lose his cool too, and I would like to see him try. It would give me a damn good reason to fight, and right now, I really, really want to do that. And who the hell are you to tell me what to do? I spat out, my breathing getting slower as the anger inside me rose. I could also feel Gray growling, wanting to be let out to fight, but not yet. Not now, and definitely not here with possible other civilians. It's none of your business, that's what. This guy was tough. I mean, I already knew that from the second I saw him earlier, unlike Chad, who looked straight out of a romantic book. Winter and Allura are always gushing about. This guy looked like he came from hell, back and forth. I glanced over to his left hand, and it's hard to see if you don't really stare at it, but I've always had good vision, and I could tell there were small burn marks on it. Who the hell is this guy, really? I don't feel safe for Keira. Whatever, just fuck off. My business with Keira is none of your concern, too. I told him before turning around, not waiting for any response from him. Motherfuck. I didn't get far enough when he gripped my hand again. Pissed, I concluded that this was a good enough reason to instigate physical force. When I turned around, my clenched fist landed square on his jaw, and he would have spit out blood if I hadn't minimized the force I used. I was being nice. He growled at me, and he looked like he was about to turn, but he stopped himself before he could. "You shouldn't have done that," he says, his voice ominous and his breathing heavy. I smirked. "You shouldn't have made me do it." He shakes his head slowly. "You don't want to start a fight with me, pretty boy." Why the hell is everyone calling me that? I'm sick of it. I already did, ass wipe. I was getting ready to lunge towards him and get another hit, but before I could, I heard Keira shout, "Stop! Stop it!" She was rushing towards us, still wearing the same clothes, but with a see-through cover-up. It didn't really help ease my temptation towards her, especially when she looks hot as fuck mad. "He started it," I told her, and she glared at me. "You're not even supposed to be here. Why are you here?" Her eyes are like laser beams. I thought she'd be more happy to see me. Turns out I couldn't be any more wrong. "You know him?" The asswipe asks her, and I wait for Keira to say who I am to her. But she's just biting her lip as if she doesn't want to answer. "Yes, she knows me. I'm from her pack." "Old pack," she said, emphasizing the old, and I'm not gonna lie, that was like an arrow straight through my heart. "It can be your pack again. Just come home with me. Everyone's waiting for you, Kay." I told her as I took steps forward to reach her, but she quickly walked back, seemingly disgusted. "Don't call me that, and I'm not going back there. I'm never going back there." The tone in her voice was equal parts angry and hurt, and I so badly wanted to tell her that everything's changed now, and I promised to make it up to her, but before I could, she started to walk away again. "Keira, wait, please." Asswipe stands in front of me, getting in the way, and shoots me a glare. It's time for you to leave, pretty boy, he said, and at this point, I'm not holding back anymore. I'm so fucking pissed that I'm about to tear this asshole apart. You know what? Fuck you. Who the hell are you to her anyway? You're nobody, so get the fuck out of my... I was getting ready to land another punch until... He's my mate, Keira said out of nowhere, and I think my heart just dropped to the pit of my stomach. What? I asked again, desperately hoping that I just misheard it, but I knew that it was just wishful thinking, because the knowing smile on this asswipe's face says it all. You heard me, River. Just like you found yours 5 years ago, I found mine too. Well, fuck. Passed. You have 5 seconds to get your cute butt here, or I won't be reliable for my next actions, River sexily threatened me as he stood at the side of the frozen lake, hands on his hips and a raised brow at me. But I've always been bad at ice skating. You know this, I reasoned out to him, remembering just about every other time we've ice skated and ended up in a disaster also known as me with bruises on my butt that luckily healed fast. If I hadn't told River a few days ago that I wished I could be good at it like Winter and Allura, then he wouldn't have had this amazing idea to drag me all the way here. So I guess it's kind of my fault then. River's eyes smoldered as he stared at me longer. My jaw clenched at the way it felt like he was pulling me to him, just by the way he looked at me. We had managed to escape the mandatory run this morning when we pretended to get lost in the track. Then we deviated from the route and ended up here. I thought it was a coincidence, but the 2 ice skates that were waiting for us told me that River's been planning for this. Are you really not going to use these new ice skates I got you for your 16th birthday? He gave me a pout, and I am this close to getting sucked into his darn charms. It always happened that way anyway. No matter how many times I attempt to stop myself from letting River win me over, in the end, I just can't say no to him. Is it a curse or a blessing? He dangled the gorgeous white ice skates lined with pink fur inside and continued pouting at me. I let out a deep and cold breath. Fine, and walked over to where he was. Yup, it's totally a curse. A few minutes later, I'm holding on to River as if my life depends on it, which, technically speaking, it sort of did, because I'm pretty sure if I let go, I'm going to fall flat on my ass or my face. Neither of which sounded very appealing. River let out a soft chuckle as he looked at me, the struggling baby deer on ice. Ha ha! Laugh it off. I tell him with a glare, but deep down inside, looking at him and being this close to him has made my heart non-stop beat like a drum. Do you trust me, Kai? He asks, a small smile on his face, and I'm trying my very best to keep composed because if I don't, I know it's not going to end well for either of us. I nodded my head slowly. His smile got wider. Good. Now I'm going to teach you how to fall. Properly, that is. Oh boy, if only he knew that I've already fallen for him many years ago. Oop, but I'm not saying that. What? Aren't you supposed to be teaching me the opposite? Like how not to fall? I looked at him confused and my grip on him tightening. He shakes his head with a grin. You can't stop yourself from falling, Kay. It's a part of the process. So what we can do is teach you how to protect yourself so you can get back up and keep going. All right? His eyes stare into mine and he holds me on my waist, safe and protected. I wanted to tell him that I already know how to fall because it's exactly what I've been doing every single time he smiles at me. I sighed and looked down on the ice, but it's going to hurt. He takes me by surprise when he lifts my chin up with his finger and I find myself getting lost in a daze on those electric blues of his. I'll try my best not to let it hurt, and if it does, I promise I'll make you feel better right after, okay? As I gripped onto his biceps and his hands steadied me by my waist, I began to think we weren't talking about ice skating anymore. My heart started to beat much faster, and if I wanted to keep sane, aka not end up kissing him and regretting it right after, I needed to bring this conversation back to our original purpose here. Okay, Ice King. I took a deep breath. I'm ready to fall. Present. River Colden, the man who broke my heart in the most painful way possible, and then tore it apart before torching it into flames, had appeared in front of me and started telling me to come back with him. Come back to that place he banished me from, the place where I thought I had a family, but they all turned their backs on me. He must have gone absolutely insane, because if he thinks that I'd willingly let myself go through that again, then he's got a much bigger storm coming for him. Please, Keira, just let me in and talk to you. He shouts on the other side of the door as he bangs on it for what was like the 50th time. After his unexpected arrival at the pool earlier and the discovery of my mate, I took the opportunity of him being too frozen to say anything else to run as fast as I could back to the room. I couldn't think of anything else. I thought I could handle myself, but seeing him like that after years and out of the blue still ignited something in me, and though I managed to suppress it in front of him, I didn't know how long I could last, so I ran. But now he's back, and I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. And such great timing, too, because Titus was right there and he just had to hear everything. It was so embarrassing, and to think our last conversation was of him possibly rejecting me. I haven't even had the chance to process all of it until River appeared, and now I have absolutely no clue how to talk to him again. I don't even know if I want to show my face to anyone at this point, and it's a good thing he didn't mind when I said I would prefer for him to be with Neo and Trinity for now. I slumped on the bed after changing into more comfortable clothes, a white top and denim shorts, before burying my head on the pillow. At least I know Neo is having fun at the game room. He doesn't have to see this and... Oh my goddess, Neo! I shot up on the bed when I realized one crucial thing. My son was still here, and I didn't want River to find out about him. Damn it! Ugh! What should I do? Think, Keira. Left without much choices, I concluded that talking to River and letting him know that there is no way in hell I'm coming back with him would make him realize that this is a lost cause and he would leave before Neo even sees him. Quickly, I ran up to the door, and just as River was about to bang on it again, I opened it. My heart almost leapt out of my chest at seeing him again. Same hair, same eyes, and same face. Maybe a little more tired than usual, but it's still him. Still the same boy I fell in love with every single day many years ago, but I clenched my jaw and suppressed all those feelings as much as I could. He may look the same, yes, but he is not the River I knew back then, back before he banished me without a single care. Kay, he says with so much concern, and he almost runs up to hug me, but I put my hand up and stop him. The look on his face screamed heartbreak, but I don't feel pity for him because he made me feel worse. I told you to stop calling me that, I said, my tone coming off more harsh than I expected, but I guess that's what happens when you have so much pent-up hurt and rage over the person in front of you. I'm sorry. I just got used to it, he says, and his apology seems sincere. I shake my head before getting straight to the point. I have no time to lose. Neo might be back any second from now. You said you're here to bring me back, right? River's eyes lit up. Yes. Have you made up your mind? I nod my head at him and he looks at me on edge. It's now or never. Yes, and it's that I'm not going back with you. Not today, not tomorrow, and not even on my deathbed, so you're wasting your time here. River's face looked like he had been stabbed in the heart. I know that look because it's the same one I had when he told me on that day the words that were forever engraved in my broken heart. Keira Akari, I, Alpha River Colden, banish you from the White Howlers. I never want to see you again. The words have echoed in my mind day and night, as soon as I wake up and before I go to sleep. It was like living in a nightmare, and I thought that I had moved on from it, but seeing him now has brought back the feeling 100 times worse. Keira, please, you don't understand, You need me. Is that what you were going to say? Because last I remember is, you told me you never wanted to see me again. So why exactly are you here, River? When you made it very clear that you wanted nothing to do with me. My honest and straight words take him aback. He doesn't know what to say, and I understand, because if the situation was flipped, I'd be too dumbstruck too. But it's not flipped because I'm not the asshole that did this to the person I loved, and I have no time for all this crap. You've said what you've needed to say, and I've given you my answer. I want you to leave, River. I'm going to forget you ever showed up, and you should also forget that you saw me again. Just go back to Norway and keep being the amazing alpha that you are with your Luna. I was walking to the door when he stopped me. taking my arm and holding it tightly. River, just j. I was about to shout at him when I turned and saw that he was actually crying. Tears were streaming down his face, and I could see every pain and every hurt in his eyes. I've never seen him cry before, not when we were little, and not when we grew up, until now. Please, Keira, I know I fucked up, I do, but I regret it deeply now. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to get down on my knees and beg because I'll do it? I'll do it. He lets me go and drops down to his knees. I know I'm not supposed to feel bad seeing him like this because of everything that he's done, but seeing him so vulnerable was starting to get to me. I'm an idiot, and I know that now. It took some time, yes, but I've realized what I've done, and I need you, Keira. I really, really need you. And not just me, but everyone. The Alpha Crew Sky. A heartbreaking gasp escaped my lips at the mention of his name. The little boy I had left. He must be around 18 now, all grown up. I wondered how he was all these years, and if I came back, would he be ecstatic to see me? Would he have grown up as a kind young man? No, Keira. You love him, yes, but you're no longer a part of that pack. You made that choice years ago, and River also made it clear that day. You are never going back to them. Stand up. Your tears and your begging won't do anything. I say coldly before turning around and opening the door. Get out before I make you, or better yet, I'll make Titus use force. Titus? He repeats the name as if it's a cursed word. Is that your mate's name? He let out a bitter laugh. Mate? He repeats it as if he can't believe it either. Slowly, he pushes himself up, but his eyes remain glued on mine, and instead of pleading, now they look angry and hurt. Do you love him, Keira? He asked, taking me by surprise. That's not any of your business. I'm giving you 5 seconds to get out of here, I told him, keeping a cold front. River takes a few steps forward, and as much as I tried to stay unfazed, my body is moving backwards on its own. I want you to leave. Answer me first, Keira. Do you love him? River, just foo? Mommy? My head jerked to the side where I heard Neo in the hallway, and my eyes widened at the sight of him. My heart started thumping loud and fast, and I ran to him as quickly as I could, moving my hands in front of my face in a no gesture, as if to tell him not to go anywhere near me. I thought I could run fast and cover him before he sees, but I should have known better. Hell, I should have just dragged River out of the place in the very beginning, but I didn't. And now I was going to pay for the consequences of my own actions, because the second River stepped out of the room, his eyes looked at my little boy and knew. Mommy? He repeats the word as he seems to be putting the pieces of the puzzles together. He let out a shuddery breath, and I knew then that he realized it. The one thing I had been trying to keep a secret for 5 years has now been revealed. River walks closer to us with a shocked and bright look on his face. His eyes, he has my eyes, he's ours, isn't he? River Colden. Past. I've been pacing back and forth in my room, unable to keep steady, and my hands starting to feel clammy as I wait for Keira to update me from inside the bathroom. I knocked on the door 2 times and called out for her when I couldn't hear any noise. Kay, is everything all right there? Yeah, everything's fine. Just waiting, she said with a relaxed tone, so I knew there was nothing to worry about. But even with that reassurance, I couldn't help but still be worried. Half an hour ago, she broke an unexpected news to me. A news every man would either be frightened with or extremely excited for. In my case, I was the latter. When Keira said that her period had been later than usual and she felt as if she wasn't herself lately, I ran as fast as I could to the pack infirmary and grabbed a pregnancy test without even saying a word to our pack doctor. I was so excited at the thought of her being pregnant that I couldn't wait any longer. It seems as if these 5 minutes of waiting for a result to come out felt more like 5 hours. Kay? I knocked again. It was much too quiet for a few seconds, and it worried me even more. When there was no response, I opted to go inside because I could no longer stand outside without knowing anything. Babe, I'm going inside, all right? I warned her seconds before entering, and I saw her sitting on the closed toilet seat, pregnancy stick on her hand, and a gloomy look on her face. I knew then that it was not the result we were both expecting. Okay, I said softly, and she looked up at me almost teary-eyed. I'm sorry, it's not a pup. She bites her lip, trying to stop herself from crying. I walked up to her and pulled her in my arms, reassuring her that she has nothing to be sorry about. Shh, don't be sorry, my love. I told you before we did this that whatever the result was, it wouldn't change a thing about our relationship. She sniffles as I hold her close to me. Are you sure? I pulled away and held her by her shoulders, looking into her eyes with a small smile. I'm sure. We have all the time in the world to have our own pup. And besides, the process of making one is fun anyway. I shot her a wink, and this made her chuckle, that gorgeous smile of hers filling up her face, the gloominess disappearing instantly. I was just kind of hopeful, you know. She admits, and I squeezed her hand tightly. I know, baby, but that's all right. I'm not going anywhere, and you aren't either, so it might not be today, but I know it will be someday. I reassured her, and she nodded her head in agreement. But as I held Keira that night while we slept together, I couldn't help but wonder how much of my life would have changed had that test been positive. Had she really been pregnant? In most packs, if not all, an alpha is expected of two things: to lead and to have an heir, because without one, other wolves feel uneasy as it brings a feeling of uncertainty to the future of their pack. It doesn't matter how good you lead or how strong you are. If you don't have an heir, you might as well be considered incomplete. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, letting Keira's scent intoxicate me as I pulled her closer to me. I may not have a mate, but she is the closest to it there is, and I don't want anything more than to start a family with her. Whether or not it's because of my feelings for her or for my unrelenting need for one, I will do whatever it takes for that to happen. Present, a child. I have a child, and not just that, but he was a boy too. He is my son. He would be the perfect heir, the one I've been waiting for all these years with Ivy, but she has never been able to fulfill, and I doubt that she even could. Once upon a time, I thought I would have one with Keira, but that didn't happen, and I thought it wouldn't be possible anymore since she left, but it turns out he had been here all along. This whole time, the one I've wanted has been right here. I didn't know what to feel or how to react. All I knew was that I wanted to get close to him, but it was undeniably hard when Keira had made it obvious she didn't want me to have anything to do with her or him. Before knowing about the little boy who had my eyes, I was already half convinced that I wouldn't be able to bring Keira back to our pack, and I'd have to go back home empty-handed to try again another time. But now that I know he existed, I can't bring myself to just leave. Who knows what Keira would do? Knowing her and the way she had disappeared and managed to hide someone like that to me for over 5 years, I'm sure she would do it again, and I could never let that happen. I didn't want to lose her or our son again. Keira, I know he's ours. I told her with much more conviction this time as I took steps forward, but each time I did, she moved the boy behind her back to hide him and stepped further away from me. Every time she did, I felt a painful stab in my heart. No, he's not. He's mine. You were never a father to him then, and you certainly won't be one now. Just leave us alone, Keira said, her tone strong and unwavering, just as her stance was. Gone was the little olive-skinned girl I had hung out with every single day when we were just kids. The raven-haired girl that smiled at me whenever I said anything. She always laughed at my jokes and was stuck to me like glue. She loved me even before we even knew what the word meant. And I know that it's my fault for what happened. I know damn well that all of this is just me reaping what I sowed, but I was sure, so sure that she would see that I've changed and would do anything to get us back together. There was just one rather complicated problem with that belief of mine, or rather, a 6'5" tall one. You're going to have to leave. Asswipe, or more commonly known as Titus, I guess, said as he moved in front of Keira and our son, blocking my view. Oh, so help me, goddess, I'm about to tear this man apart. No one's talking to you. Mind your own business. I growled at him and he did the same. Stop, Keira shouted, making both of us pause, mine and Asswipe's intense glaring session getting disrupted. He's right, River. You need to leave. You're not welcome here. Keira's words hurt much more than any of the bruises I've gotten from fights. Keira, please. I know I messed up, but I'm here now and you might hate me. But what about our son? Don't you think I or he deserves a chance to see each other? to meet his father? I tilted to the side, staring at the boy who was hiding behind his mother, but his blue eyes still peeking at the side. I wanted to run up to him and hold him, look at him closer, properly, and take him all in. This is the pup I've waited for what seemed like forever, and now that he is here, it was painful for me to think that I couldn't even talk to him. Keira, please, I'm begging you, I added, hoping that my desperation would somehow reach her. She sighed before looking away and then turning her head to look behind her where the boy stood. I didn't know what she was thinking, but by the way she stared at him, as if in deep thought, I was hoping that she was beginning to rethink her choice. A few seconds later, she looks up at me again, and with what looked like the hardest thing she's ever done, she speaks up. You have 5 minutes, and after that, if he doesn't want to talk to you anymore, you're gone, she says, tightly holding on to the little boy's hand. Yes. Okay, 5 minutes, I told her, my voice much higher and more upbeat at the proposition. 5 minutes was a hell of a short time, but it was better than nothing, and right now I was willing to take any damn chance I could to meet my son, my little pup. I heard Asswipe let out a low growl before begrudgingly stepping aside. I made sure to give him a 1-second glare that Keira wouldn't see before brushing past him. While I walked closer to Keira and our son, I didn't know how nervous it would make me until I was just a few steps away. My heart was pounding like crazy, and I had to tighten my clenched fists in order for it not to shake. Keira lowered herself down to meet the boy's eye level as she faced him. Okay, baby, you're going to talk to this man for a few minutes, but I'll be right here next to you, okay? You don't have to be scared. The little boy glanced over to me, then back to Keira before pouting. Oh, goddess, he even has the way she pouts. But I don't know him, Mommy, he tells her, and I tried to keep myself composed even after hearing something so painful. Keira smiles at him as she rubs his shoulders gently. Only 5 minutes, my love, and if you don't want to talk to him anymore, just say so and we'll go. Okay, Neo? Neo? I repeated, and Keira looked at me with a solemn expression. Is that Latin? She nodded her head, and I knew immediately why she chose exactly that name. It meant new, 3 small letters, but with a bigger meaning to her. I had to push through with a smile, not letting myself get affected by it. Not now, not when I'm this close to my son. Hey there, I said, as I crouched down as well. Neo tightened his grip on Kira's hand. Don't be scared. I'm not someone you should be afraid of. I'm your. I paused, glancing at Keira, as if to confirm if I was allowed to tell him or not. She seemed to painfully accept that it was fine for me to tell the truth as she nodded her head unwillingly. I'm your father, Neo, I told him, the words sounding even more unbelievable coming out of my mouth, but it was the truth, as hard as it was to believe. Neo visibly stiffened as he blinked at me fast with all sorts of emotions. Confused, shocked, unsure. So many feelings going through such a little being, and all I wanted to do was to let him know that everything was going to be all right. He just needed to accept me for who I am, and that was... Bad man, he said. What? You're the bad man. Neo's voice got louder as he practically shouted at me. I'm not bad, Neo. I promise, I'm not. I raised my hands up as if to say I was innocent and shake my head to rid me of such a cruel title. You are. You hurt my mommy. I don't like you. He continued to cry out hurtful words, each one more painful than the last. If there was one thing more painful than realizing how much I fucked up when I banished the woman who loved me, it would be knowing that my own son hated me. It wasn't my intention, Neo. I'm sorry for hurting your mommy, but I'm here to make things right. I'm here to bring you 2 back home. You want to go home, right? To meet your other family? Your grandparents are waiting for you, and you can make many friends. They will all love you tremendously, Neo. I tried to get on his good side as I inched closer towards him, hoping that he would start to soften up a bit. But it seems the more I got closer, the more he wanted to be far away from me, just like Keira. No, I already have a family. I have Auntie Alicia and Uncle Chad. Did he just say Chad? As in the doctor? And who the fuck is Alicia? And I don't want new friends. I have many here, and I like them. Neo continued to protest, and it was obvious he was starting to become uncomfortable with my presence, and that wasn't a good sign. If I don't get him under control, Keira will take him away from me, and I know I would never be able to get on his good side at this point, meaning I'll never be able to see him or her ever again. Fuck. Neo. Please, son. It's okay. You can still see your other family and friends, but you can have more if you come with me. It will be fun, I promise. Lots of fun. There's snow and pretty lights at our home. You'll love it. You'll love it so much, Neo. Just come with me. Okay? Just come here. No, you hurt Mommy. You're a bad man. I want to go home. Neo cried out, and just as I was getting close enough to hold him, he turned around and started running away from me. Fuck shit, I cursed, the anger that had built up inside me being released as I couldn't take it any longer. You're done, River, Keira said, the tone in her voice serious, and I knew that there was no way that I would ever be able to convince her otherwise. You should leave and never come back. There is nothing for you here. Her words are like a dagger to my heart, and if that wasn't enough, it gets twisted and pushed deeper, making the pain unbearable. I know I deserve to feel hurt for what I did to Keira, but isn't this just a little too much? Haven't I suffered enough with the beginning downfall of my own pack and my stupidity for being blinded by my own mate? Isn't it all enough, or must I really have to live with losing a pup too? I can't accept this. I just can't. I won't let this happen. I won't let either of them go. No, I'm going to get you two back, and I'm bringing you both home. I told her as I took her hand and gripped it tight. We're going to be a family again, and I'm going to make that happen, no matter what it takes. We're going to be a family again, and I'm going to make that happen, no matter what it takes. River said as his grip on my arm tightened and his signature blue eyes stared into mine smolderingly. There was a time I would be ecstatic to have a child with nobody but him, my River, my Alpha. A time wherein becoming a family with us as parents would have made me the happiest woman alive. A time where I would look forward to waking up and seeing him next to me in bed with our little pup in his arms. But that time has long been gone ever since that day 5 years ago, and I know damn well that it was never going to come back again. I don't know what fantasy has been going on inside your head, but you've lost every chance you've had of being with me or becoming a family together a long time ago, River. You need to let me go or else. I said to him, staring back with intensity in my eyes that was the same as his. He needed to get the message that there was no way in hell I would allow him back into my life, let alone in Neo's, who I should be going to right now, as he ran away when he got agitated over River's presence. I am never coming back to you, I told him, straight up, no filter and no nonsense, before yanking my hand away from his hold. I turned to Titus, who was still standing at the side, and by the looks of it, he was trying his very best not to let his anger erupt and beat the living shit out of River, who he has been in a heated interaction with since his sudden arrival. I'm really sorry to ask this of you, but if you could please get River out of here, that would really mean a lot, as I need to get to Neo. Titus didn't need to know anything more. All he did was nod his head before walking over to River, who was frozen still on the ground. He hadn't moved an inch until Titus arrived next to him. River shifted his head to turn to him and let out a loud growl, as if threatening him not to go any further, or else he would do something he wouldn't be reliable for. Titus didn't back down, though, and did the same thing. I should stop them from tearing each other's limbs apart, but I had more important things to do right now. With one last deep breath, I turned around and started running to where Neo had sped off to earlier. The hotel resort was big, and I barely had time to explore it, so I don't know most of the places around here. But knowing Neo, he would likely go to a spot where he has passed by and believes he would be safe in. My eyes wandered around the hallway. It was spacious and surprisingly empty, and I wondered where the other guests were, or if there even were. It seemed unlikely that a popular place like this wouldn't be filled with more people, but I guess it was for the better, so less people would see what had transpired earlier. Neo? Baby? I called out for my son, hoping that once he hears my voice, he would come out. Baby, it's okay now. Mommy's here. You can come out. I walked along the hallway calling out for him, but the more time passed and the further away I got, I started to feel even more uneasy. Something didn't feel right. If he was here, he would have heard me and know that everything was all right. He wouldn't have stayed hidden this long. He would have come out and greeted me already. Something's wrong. Something's wrong, and I can't wrap my mind around it. But I know that, I screamed when suddenly all the lights in the floor had been turned off. Darkness encapsulated the whole place, and if it wasn't for mine and Fuyu's ability to see better in the dark, then this would have been far scarier for me. Neo, I called out again, this time louder and with fear creeping into my voice. I was already beginning to feel that something was not right, but with the lights turning off out of nowhere, now I was sure that there was something going on and I didn't like it one bit. Neo, please answer, Mommy, I cried out, beginning to feel desperate. A few seconds later, which felt much longer and much more agonizing, the lights turned back on, but there were still no signs of Neo, my baby. Where could he have gone? Keira, what happened? I turned around and both Titus and River were running up to me. Worry filled their faces. I shake my head, scared. I don't know. I was looking for Neo and I kept shouting for him, but he's not here. He hasn't shown up, and the lights turned off out of nowhere and oh, goddess, do you think he was? He was. I couldn't even finish my sentence before I felt my body collapsing onto the ground. The thought of Neo having disappeared or being taken terrified me to my core, and I trembled with fear and anxiety. River runs up to me and kneels down to my side. Normally, I would be so enraged I'd push him away, but all of that has disappeared, gone with the thought that something might have happened to my little boy. He's fine, Kai. I'm sure he's fine. He's a tough boy. River tells me in what was an obvious attempt to reassure me, but instead, it pisses me off more. I glared at him. And how would you know that? How would you even know anything? You've never even talked to him in all his 5 years until now. You never even knew he existed. Anger boiled through me like water in a kettle. River lets out a sigh and gives me a small smile. Because you raised him. You, the toughest warrior in our pack, raised that little boy, so I'm damn sure he's got every bit of your courage and toughness. I hadn't been expecting such a sincere answer that it caught me off guard. My mouth hung half wide open as I didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Titus comes up on my other side. We'll find him. I'll ask some of my men to come here and help look. Is that all right? I nodded my head immediately. Yes, please. That would be so helpful. Thank you, Titus. He quickly shakes his head. Don't thank me. Anything for my mate, he said before standing up and walking away, in which I assumed was to go to his beta. Meanwhile, I was still flushed at the word, and I know River heard it too as he stiffened up beside me. I don't know if Titus had said it as a fact or if it was to get a reaction out of River. Whichever it was, he definitely got one, but that wasn't my main focus right now. My one and only focus was to get my son back. I had a moment of weakness, but I wasn't going to let that get the better of me. I needed to be strong for my son. That's what he would have wanted. I pushed myself up from the floor immediately and dusted myself off before turning to River. This isn't some kind of forgiveness for everything you've done, but if you can, I would really appreciate it if you would help me look for Neo. I need all the help I can get. You don't even have to tell me. You know I'll do everything I can for our son, he says, and I gritted my teeth at the words. I don't think I'll ever get used to it, but it is the truth. I may not accept it, but biologically, he is half of Neo. I let out a deep breath. I'm going to the lobby to ask the staff if they've seen anything. Can you continue checking the rooms around here, please? River nodded his head, and as I was about to walk away, he took my hand, making me stop. His blue eyes pierced into mine. It's going to be all right, Kay. I won't let anything happen to our son or to you, I promise. I sucked in a lungful of breath before exhaling. You've promised a lot of things back in the day, River, and look where that got us. I don't think you should be promising anything else from now on. River's face turned pale at my words, but before he could say anything else, I turned around and began to walk away, just like I did on that same day when I swore to myself that I would never ever come back again. What do you mean I can't see the surveillance cameras? My child might be in danger, I demanded, my voice becoming a few notes higher, and some of the people in the lobby turned to me curious. I'm sorry, ma'am, but without a warrant, I can't let you go through our data, as this violates the privacy of the other guests. The manager said with a lack of remorse, and this frustrated me greatly. What the hell was wrong with him? It's as if he doesn't even care at all about the fact that a child could have been kidnapped. This should be illegal. It has to be. Didn't you hear what I said? My child could have been taken, and your hotel is going to be reliable for a kidnapping. I shouted as my fists landed on the desk, creating a loud banging noise. Ma'am, if you continue to cause ruckus, I will have you escorted out by the guards. The only one being escorted out of here is you. When I turned around, Titus was standing next to me, looking rather intimidating as he stared at the manager. Where did he come from? The chief of police is going to have a field day once he finds out about this, so either you let her look through your cameras, or this whole place is getting shut down. Now you wouldn't want your boss finding out that you were the cause of that, would you? The manager, who earlier was acting rather snobbish, was now shaking in his boots. Eyes widened at Titus, and you could tell his words had definitely affected him, because seconds later, he was now acting compliant. Okay, sir. Hold on, let me check the data. He stuttered before hurriedly typing something on his computer. A few minutes later, he ushered us to the side of his desk as he allowed us to scroll through files of the surveillance cameras. My eyes scanned the computer like a wild animal looking for its prey, but in this case, I was just desperate to find anything that could help me relate to Neo's last whereabouts. There! I pointed out to the screen where Neo showed up, running in the hallway, seconds after he was stressed out by River's presence. So I was right to assume that he was headed towards a familiar place, and it was a bathroom in the hallway. But just before I could see more, the lights had been turned off, and the next data that was recorded on the cameras were 5 minutes apart. What the hell? Is this it? Is this it? No, there has to be something more. Anything more. I cried out desperately, scanning back to the beginning of the clip where Neo showed up and started replaying it over and over again. Each time I did, I felt even worse than the second before, knowing that I was not there for him, knowing that because of that, he had disappeared. Tears started to prick the back of my eyes when I felt a strong and reassuring grip on my shoulder. I turned around, and Titus was looking at me with a somber expression. It's okay, Keira. This is something we can use. That means he was still here before the blackout. My pack is arriving here soon, and they can sniff him out. Titus told me reassuringly. I mouthed him a thank you, as I had no more energy to speak before going back to replaying the footage, and by what seemed like the 15th time I did, I noticed something I hadn't earlier. My body stiffened up, and my eyes almost popped out of my socket at the sight of another figure in the footage. Though the clip was not entirely high definition, and it was hard to really make out anything, I could tell that on the edge of the screen, a few inches before the camera could no longer reach that part of the halfway, there was someone else. Someone that looked uncannily familiar. Or rather, something as the person was covered with a dark brown coat and cap. If I hadn't seen it earlier, I wouldn't have figured it out, but I did, and it's that possible thought that terrified me even more. Dark brown coat with the same shade of the cap. I had asked her why she was bringing a coat when we were going somewhere warm, and all she gave me was a smile and a nod. Back then, I didn't find anything unusual with it. Why would I? I've lived with her for years, and we saw each other as a family. I didn't know letting that topic go would have been a grave mistake. What is it, Keira? Did you see something else? Titus asked, and when he leaned forward to look closer at the screen, he also noticed the figure. Wait, do you know who that is? My heart dropped to the ground. I wish I didn't. I wish that the person on that screen was actually a stranger, but instead it was the last person I would have expected to want any harm to come to Neo. Without answering Titus, I quickly pulled my phone out and clicked the speed dial which directed me to her cell phone. It rang and it rang and rang endlessly for what felt like 10 agonizing minutes, but there was nothing. She always answered my calls. Sometimes she would miss it, as she would be busy with important work, but other than that, she never missed one. She had been attentive when it came to us, and looking back at it now, it did seem odd how incredibly watchful and observant she was around me, and even Neo too. "Oh," I said with shuddery breaths as I clinged onto my phone that was still ringing, but with no signs of anyone answering. "Keira? What is it?" The realization hit me like a truck. I had been betrayed by whom I thought were my family once, and when I felt like I couldn't trust anyone anymore, that's when she came and made me believe that I could again. I trusted her with my life. I loved her like a family, and Neo did too. It turns out that was the worst thing I could do, and now it's cost me the most important person in my life. It's her. It's Elisha. She took my son. Titus Bane. Madness. If there was one word I could describe the current situation right now, that would be it. When some of the warriors in my pack arrived, everyone in the hotel was perplexed and at the same time scared. I realized that our sudden presence was very intimidating, and because of that, I had to make use of a few connections and get everyone that wasn't needed in the hotel out of the place immediately, as we didn't want to garner any more unwanted attention. 10 minutes later, and 10 wolves, who'd made sure nobody, not a single human being, was no longer in the vicinity, we were gathered in the lobby of the hotel to figure out the next step in our plan, which was, to be honest, wasn't really anything spectacular. I started to fight as a little boy, barely having even turned 10 years old back then. I have lost count of how many wolves and intruders I've harmed and or taken their lives with just my hands, and have handled more than thousands of my pack when it came to ambushes. But this, managing my pack to look for a lost boy that might have been taken by a human, this is something I have never experienced. I was out of my strong point here, but I wasn't going to let that discourage me. I was doing this for her, for my mate that I could feel was distraught and heartbroken over what happened. I was going to do everything to get her little boy back. And the funny thing about all of this is that hours ago, I was just about ready to cut all ties with my newfound mate. Find out everything there is we need to know about that Dr. Elisha Silverstone. Don't we have someone studying at the university? Keira mentioned she sometimes taught in? I asked Egan, my gamma and leader of our warriors. He nodded his head. Reese, eldest son of the Coles. Good. Get information from him too. We need everything, and I mean every single thing, even her goddamn laundry bill. Go now. I informed Egan, and he bows his head before rushing off to fulfill my orders. When I turned around, I saw Keira still behind the manager's desk. She hasn't moved an inch from the computer screen, replaying the clip over and over again. I know that a part of her didn't want to believe that someone she had been so close with could do something like harm her son. But with everything I've seen and experienced, this wasn't even half of it. Humans are evil. They say that us wolves were far more destructive and should be feared, but it's the mind of a human that one should live in fear of. Psychopaths, serial killers, etc., those were just the few of the things only in the human world were present. Though Keira couldn't believe Elisha Silverstone, a woman that took them in and cared for them for years, could do such a thing. I, on the other hand, knew that her compassion towards them was only just a mask for something evil, and now it was being unveiled, or rather has been unveiled. As I was walking towards Keira to be by her side, I paused when the fool, also known as River, beat me to it. I held in the urge to run over there and gouge his eyes out. Ever since he appeared, I've had to control myself immensely because if I didn't, I would have already torn him limb by limb. I don't know specifically how far Keira's relationship had gone with the fool, but I know that he had hurt her tremendously, and I was always relieved and glad every time she rejected his advances. Go away, River, she said before pushing him away, and I felt a sense of pride surge through me. That's my girl. Except she isn't really, but all of these sudden circumstances are making me contemplate what I thought my feelings for her were. The appearance of her lover from her past has made me double think if I really couldn't see myself being with her, because right now, all I can think about is tearing his hand apart each time he touched, or even so much as got an inch close to her. If I didn't want to be her mate, would I really be this affected with another man around her? I'm sorry things turned out this way, Kay, but I promise that we'll find Neo. I won't let anything bad happen to our boy. You know that, right? The fool kept being persistent towards her, and as much as I wanted to get him as far away as possible, I know that my relationship with Keira right now didn't really give me that right to do such, so I stood my ground. He is my boy, not yours or anyone else's. I raised him for 5 years without your help, and none of this would have happened if you didn't show up in the first place. Just go back to Norway. I don't care. I don't need you here. Neo doesn't need you either. Keira pushed him again, but he had barely moved an inch from the action. I could sense she was getting weaker. She hadn't eaten or drank anything since earlier, and if she continues like this, she'll be far too frail to look for Neo. I stopped one of the members who was passing by my side, holding him by the collar of his shirt, and he stared at me wide-eyed and rather terrified. Yes, Alpha? He asked, shakingly. Get food and water here right now. I ordered before releasing him, and he instantly ran to fulfill his duty. As he should. You're just saying that because of what's happening. You don't mean it, Kay. I know you don't. I'll let you be. Give you some space. Look around if I can find something to do. I'll be right here if you need me, Kay. I'm not going anywhere. Not anymore. Okay? The fool continued to say things I know didn't affect my mate in any way. At least, as far as I can tell, because all she did was shoot him a glare and went back to looking at the screen. Finally, he walked away from her, and just as I was walking towards Keira, he turned to me with a disgruntled look, and his eyes were almost setting me on fire. Little does he know that I'm partly resistant to such. Titus! She stood up from the seat as soon as she saw me coming up to her, and she held a slightly flustered look. Did your pack find anything? She asked while seemingly on the verge of tears. I shook my head and she collapsed back on the seat, disappointed. But I'm having someone from the university look into her office and whatnot. Someone that works in the Sedona hospital is on the way there too as we speak. We'll find her. Don't worry. Keira gives me a small and fleeting smile before letting out a weakened sigh. Just then, the pack member I ordered to get food arrives just in time. I gather the food and bring it close to her. You need to eat. She shakes her head. I'm fine. I need to go to her room and see if I missed anything, something. She was getting ready to stand up when I stopped her from doing so and placed the plate of food in front of her. If you don't eat, you're going to become far too weak to look for Neo, and then what? I'm sure he would want you to take care of yourself too. Do this for him as well. Keira looked to be discerning my words, and just as she was about to open her mouth up to say something again, she closed it and sat back down before taking the food. Thank you, she said quietly after taking a bite. I turned to her. For what? She bites her lip rather nervously, her eyes glued on the food. For everything. Bringing your pack to help look for my son and just being here in general. I know we didn't exactly have an ideal start with everything that happened, but she looks up at me and my heart starts beating the second her eyes meet mine. Even with everything that's happened, with what she had to go through and the amount of tears she shed, she still looks beautiful. I know that shouldn't be my priority or my first thought right now, but I can't help but admire her. Is it just the mate bond talking, or do I really see her and think that there has not been a more beautiful she-wolf I've encountered beside her? Whichever it is, my wolf and I are fluttering deep down inside. I would really appreciate it if you stayed, not just because you're helping me find my son, but She takes another pause, her eyes wandering to the side before finding mine again. I like your presence around me, she confessed, and my heart thumped at her words. So honest and so unexpected that I didn't know what to say. I've never felt or experienced what others considered romantic. In my pack, mates were considered unnecessary. It wasn't banned per se, but it was looked down upon because I, the alpha, never opted for a mate. They believed for them to be considered stronger or better, they should also live life without one. So that's how most of my pack members live without a mate. Some reject them, and some just ignore them in general. Some even chose a different partner instead, so that the mate bond wouldn't compromise them. I told myself that if ever it happened, if ever my mate showed up, I would have no problem rejecting her, because I grew up believing that I didn't need her. But right now, as she looks at me with so much affection, I can't stop my heart from beating at her words. Quickly, I looked away and cleared my throat in order to recompose myself. You should finish your food and try to get a few minutes of rest. I'll search around the room in case we missed something, I said before walking away, forcing myself not to give her another second glance. When I was sure I was far enough for her or anyone else to see me, I stopped and laid my back against the wall, holding my hand up my chest. Fuck, Titus. Get it together, I mumbled to myself. This isn't you. You're doing this as a gesture of goodwill, not because of your mate bond. You don't care about any mate. You never did, and you never will. I let out a deep exhale as I stood behind the wall, hiding from everyone as I tried to get a hold of myself with each deep breath. A few minutes later, I am walking to Elisha's room in order to find anything else we can use. Unfortunately, when I get there, there isn't much to be of any help. Most of my pack members have practically turned the room inside out, and we've used our best sniffers, so if there was anything that was here, they would have already found it. Besides the usual things such as clothes and personal documents, it just seemed like an ordinary woman going on a weekend vacation. I sighed. Things were beginning to seem rather bleak, as much as I didn't want to admit it. But with over 100 rooms in the place and each wolf having scoured it and finding nothing really of good use, the possibility of Neo not being found was getting higher as each second passed. Nonetheless, I promised Keira that I would do whatever it takes to find and get her son back, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I tipped the bed on the other side 4 times until I was sure there was nothing on it, and even ripped the carpet on the floor. It was a good thing I had made a close connection with the owner of this hotel and resort many years ago when an incident occurred, and it was Cyrus and I that managed to pull a few of the guests from what could have been a fatal fire accident. I could tear up the room wallpaper as well, but I could sense that there was nothing there either. Humans could be smart and tricky, but I could tell Aisha wouldn't have hid anything on the walls, as it'd be harder to hide. If she had planned this vacation exactly on Neo's birthday, then she wanted to have both of them alone and further away from other people they were close with, secluding them from gathering any easy help. And I wasn't gonna lie, her plan seemed spotless. It would have been perfect, and Keira would have had to live with the thought of losing her child because she was betrayed by someone she trusted too much. But Elisha Silverstone missed one important thing: me. She hadn't expected to bring Keira to Phoenix, where I resided, and the odds of us bumping into each other had increased. With me by Keira's side, I was going to use all of the pack resources to bring her son back and teach Alicia a lesson. That nobody messes with our kind. Something's going on down here. Cyrus mind-linked me out of nowhere, pulling me away from my thoughts. What? Did you find the bitch? I asked as I was walking back down to the lobby. No, but it's something you definitely need to see. One of our pack members has recognized your mate. My brows furrowed in confusion. One of us recognized Keira? That seemed highly unlikely since, if I'm not mistaken, Keira came all the way from Norway. There was about a 5 to 10% chance of one of us being related to whichever pack she came from before going here, and that would only be if one of the wolves were once part of their pack before finding their mates here. And like I said, mates are pretty much non-existent in the Blazing Wolves. Curiosity and confusion got the better of me as I hurriedly got back down, and when I arrived at the lobby, surprise greeted me. Shochiaki, one of the few inaugurated wolves of our pack, was standing in front of Keira, his eyes and mouth wide open as if he was looking at a ghost. Sho was one of our rare cases. Before I became alpha, he had already joined Blazing Wolves when he found his mate, one of our she-wolf warriors. He proved to be a worthy fighter, and so he became one of our best defenders next to his mate. Now the question is, how in the hell was he related to Keira that he could recognize her with just one look? Sho took a few steps forward, his eyes not moving away from Keira, who was looking back at him even more confused. "You're alive," he said, seemingly surprised himself. He spoke merely 2 words, and this further confused everyone that was seeing what was happening. "What's going on here?" "Sho, how do you know Keira?" Many know I am not a man of much patience, and not knowing what was happening was not helping that so I had to get the bottom of this immediately. Sho turned to me, still in shock, but he managed to speak up. Alpha Titus, I don't know her exactly, but I knew her family. My family? Keira asked in a high-pitched tone before almost running up to Sho. You know my family? Where are they? My parents? My pack? I saw the horror that traveled in Sho's eyes before he answered her. Knew, he corrected her. I'm sorry, but they're gone. Every single one of them died that night. He swallowed hard as he stared at her, still in disbelief. At least, we thought it was everyone. When I was a little girl, I often had recurring dreams. I say recurring because they were ones that I've already dreamt about more than 10 times, and it just kept coming back again and again. These dreams were so vivid that I always remembered them even after waking up. But the thing that I couldn't ever pinpoint were the faces that I saw every time I dreamt it. The first scene would be me lying down, and my point of view was something that looked like a crib. I would know because of the wooden railings on the side and the crib mobiles that hung above. They were specific crib mobiles too, that of nature and the night sky, with forest trees, mountains, clouds, stars, and the beautiful moon being the brightest out of them. I raise my tiny hands and try to reach up for it, but my arms are far too short to do so. Instead, two heads pop up from out of nowhere, and they're looking at me, smiling widely, but I can't make up their faces. It's impossible because there's a blur around it. I squint my eyes trying to make something out of it, but it's not working. Though I don't mind because their voices are calming, soothing, and one of them picks me up gently. I am able to tell that it's a woman because of her long hair, raven-colored hair, same as mine. She taps and sways me around, making me feel like I'm floating on a soft cloud, and then she starts to hum a tune. Her voice is ethereal, and before I know it, I blinked my eyes open, and we're in a field of flowers. The woman with raven hair is still holding on to me, and each second she continues to sing to me, I get further lost in a trance, and I never want to be found. All of a sudden, in another blink of an eye, something terrible happens. The peaceful humming disappears and is replaced by terrifying screams all around me, but someone is holding on to me as they run fast. It's no longer the woman. I can tell because the hair is no longer long and the warmth feels different. I don't know who it is, but I feel safe in his arms. He tries to keep me protected, holding me close to him, but even when he's doing the best he can, I can still feel how scared he is and everyone else around us. The screams start to get muffled and eventually it disappears, but in the back of my mind, I can still remember their agony and their pains. I hear a voice. The one holding on to me is telling me something, but I can't make anything out of it. It's gotten cold. So cold, but he tries to keep me warm. I see him wrapping me around a blanket multiple times while he speaks. He's crying, crying, and crying. I let out small noises, but I don't even know if I'm saying anything he can understand. I feel him let go of me, laying me down on what feels soft but cold to my skin. I cry out for him. I cry as loud as I can, and I ask him not to leave me. But I don't know if I'm saying those exact words. In my mind, I'm just begging for him to stay. But he doesn't. I don't think he can. Gomenasai, I'm sorry. Watashi tachi wa itsumo anata to isho ni imasu. We will always be with you. It's the last thing I hear before I wake up in sweats, holding onto my chest as my heart beats like crazy, and I'm sitting up on my bed, tears running down my cheeks uncontrollably. I was a part of the Suki Guardians pack before I found my mate in Blazing Wolves. Sho, the man who recognized who I was earlier, said. Tsuki? Moon? I didn't exactly study Japanese growing up, but I knew enough. I don't know if it was because of my background or if the words just stuck to me ever since. He nodded his head before nervously turning to Titus, who was standing rather ominously at the side. When the news broke out that someone from Blazing Wolves knew who I was, it spread like wildfire in their pack. It only made sense for it to be such a big topic because I am their alpha's mate, so being connected to them in another way would be quite a shock. Titus was quick to order everyone to focus on what they were there for, as we moved to an isolated room where only the three of us could stay. He wanted it to be as private as possible, and I was thankful of that for him, because after finding out that my family was dead this whole time, I'm not sure if I could face anyone else after. Okami Reiki, it means healing wolves. That was your pack, and we were neighbors back in the mountains of Wakayama. Sho continued to explain, and somehow the more he did, the more I became desperate for more answers. As a young girl who didn't have anyone else to call family, I often hoped for someone, anyone, to let me know about my past. The White Howlers, River's parents, treated me like their own daughter, yes, but I couldn't deny that a part of me, deep down inside, still wanted to have someone I could really call as my mother or father. It was only when I grew up and started to focus on other things that those thoughts started to fade away, pushed into the further parts of my brain. But now that it was here right in front of me, I couldn't help but know everything there is that I needed to know, no matter how heartbreaking it was. Healing wolves? Does that mean we had some kind of special ability? Sho nodded again, slowly. More than half of those from your pack were born with it, gifted by the moon goddess. It was the Luna, your mother, that helped cultivate everyone's ability, and often our pack would go to yours after battle, and you would always help us as you did many other packs. The Luna was my mother, I mumbled to myself. That means I'm an alpha's daughter? The news was so shocking to me that I just froze there, mouth agape. It can't be true, or could it? Unfortunately, it's because of your rare gifts that created such an uproar, especially after you were born. Sho continued, since he must have noticed I was slowly separating myself from the conversation out of shock. What about my birth? I moved further to the edge of my seat, nervousness encompassing me. Sho bit his lip rather nervously too, as he fiddled with his fingers. There was a rumor that the Luna's daughter would be born with the greatest healing power, and many were eager and hopeful for such, but with great power came a price because others became greedy as well. Specifically, the two packs that banded together and took away the Luna. I felt my heart break instantly at his words, and I almost slipped from my seat, but Titus was much faster as he appeared by my side and held on to me, keeping me steady. I turned to him with a meek smile and gave him a soft thank you. No need to thank me, he said with a small and comforting smile. Should I go on? Sho asked as he seemed worried, and I nodded my head. Please, I need to know what happened. I told him, and Titus signaled for him to continue. When she was taken, the Alpha was devastated. He got most of your warriors to get her back, and that's where it all went bad. The Alpha, my father. I can only imagine how heartbroken he was when his mate was taken from him. And it wasn't even the worst part? This is awful. All of this sounds so horrible. The Luna's taking wasn't their main objective. It was only a decoy, but when your pack realized it, it was too late. There were far too many wolves attacking and not enough warriors to protect your pack. Oh, goddess, they tricked us. I said in between shuddery breaths, and Titus tightened his grip on my hand, and I wished that it was all I needed to feel better about this whole thing. But it's not. It all hurts too much. Sho nodded his head like it was painful for him, and I could tell it was. He must have been around his teens when this was all happening. He understood what was going on, but he couldn't do much. Everyone that didn't have the healing ability was killed. I won't get into the specifics on how, but it was brutal. Nobody could have escaped it. Those that did have the ability were said to have been taken, abducted, so they could be of use to the other packs. A few weeks later, my pack's alpha found them abandoned on the edge of a mountain. He concluded that nobody from Okami Reiki must have been willing to use their abilities for them, and so they were. I let out a painful whimper. Sho couldn't even finish the sentence, as it was probably also too much for him. But for me, it felt like I was being stabbed 100 times right on my heart. I didn't know finding out about my family, my pack, would hurt this much. All these years I wanted to know in order to feel like I truly belonged somewhere, but if I had known it was like this, I wouldn't have wanted that. I shouldn't even be alive. I left them all alone to suffer. Why me? I muttered. Why am I the one alive when everyone else died? I looked up at Sho, desperate and in tears. Titus held on to me in a way to keep me balanced, but my emotions were already too much, and I was heartbroken and angry. Nobody believed it was true that you were saved, But looking at you now, I guess it is. It's all because of your brother, Ko. It was just a rumor that he was able to bring you somewhere far enough that none of them would be able to reach you before he went back to avenge his pack and your parents. But it looks like he really was able to. Where have you been this whole time? I wiped my tears away with the back of my hand before muttering an answer. Norway. Oh, of course. No one would think to search for you in the colder regions. He lets out a soft chuckle. Ko, he was really something. Ko, my parents. They were all my family I hadn't known until now, and the worst part about all of it is that now I can never really know more about them. I can't meet them, I can't see them or touch them, and that's what hurts the most. I should go back to my post. Is there anything else you need from me, Alpha? Sho asked as he turned to Titus, who glanced at me, waiting for my response, but when I didn't say anything, he shook his head. Okay, I'll get going now, but Keira? I looked up at him, tears continuing to stream down my face. You shouldn't feel guilty that you're the only one left. Your family loved you and wanted to protect you. The fact that you're here now means they were successful, and I'm sure just that made their sacrifices worth it. Sho says one last time with a heartfelt smile before walking out of the room. Silence filled the four corners of the room as soon as he left. I didn't know what else to say, or if I could even say anything. There were days in my past I was so desperate to know more about where I came from, and now that I do, somehow I wish I didn't. I wish that I had just stayed unknowing about it all, if this is the truth. I can't bear the pain of knowing that this was the outcome of my family, and I have to find out now too? Right when my son is missing? What did I do to deserve this? Don't blame yourself, Keira, Titus said, pulling me out of my thoughts, but tears continued to stream down my face. Remember what Sho said. They protected you because they loved you, and you're alive. That means you have to keep living. For them and for you. Blaming yourself won't benefit you or anyone else. You're here now, and you have a family of your own. Focus on Neo. Focus on all the good you've experienced in your years here. You feel like you've been thrown into a battlefield you most certainly did not ask for, but you are here, and you have to keep fighting. I'm speechless. Titus's words are strong and sincere, and his eyes that are staring straight into mine are unfeigned, genuine, and earnest. I didn't expect him to say something so warm and ardent, but it's what makes this even more heartwarming, and though it still hurts, everything he said was right. He was, without a doubt, right. I have to keep fighting for myself and for Neo. Giving up should never be the option, most especially not now. I let out a deep exhale. Okay, I'll keep fighting, I told him, and he merely gave me a smile, and I felt my stomach almost do a backflip. Good, and I'll be right here. Titus stopped speaking as his head turned to the side. He was getting a mind link. I haven't gotten one in years since I was no longer connected with any other wolf, but I could still tell. What could it be? Worry took over me. It has to be someone from his pack saying something important. His face is hard to decipher. Something's there, but I can't tell what. Fear? Anxiousness? Anger? He momentarily closes his eyes before letting out a deep sigh. What? What is it? Did they find something? Please tell me. I pleaded, even though I wasn't sure I was even ready to hear any of it. They found a hidden compartment in Elisha's office at the hospital. A hidden compartment? How bad would something have to be for her to hide it? That thought terrified me to my core. What about it? What was inside? Titus, please tell me. What was it? I saw his jaw clenched tightly, almost as if he was stopping himself from becoming angry. Files of Neo. Everything about his body, his blood, his organs. It looks like she's been taking tests and keeping it for her own record. My heart sank to the ground. My poor boy has been a target all these years, and I had no idea. Oh God, what kind of mother am I? Neo, my love, come here. Come to mommy. I called out for my little boy, and he swiftly turned to me, his two-toned hair swaying to the side, and his smile widened across his face. Without a second thought, my arms opened wide for him, waiting to feel my son in my arms. He's running as fast as he can. Those little legs of his are taking one step forward each second as he continues to let out the cutest soft giggles. As soon as he reaches where I am, I take him in my arms and pull him close to me, holding him tightly, and we spin around. Neo is laughing even louder now, the kind of laugh where he doesn't hold back. He's the happiest he's ever been, and it warms up my heart knowing that it's with me. "Mommy, can you push me on the swing?" he asks, his blue eyes twinkling at me as he did. "Of course, sweetie, anything for you." I tell him before I carry him to the area with the red swings. He's gotten so much bigger, so much heavier, but I know that no matter how big or heavy he gets, as long as he wants to be carried, I will continue doing so. Sometimes I feel scared thinking about the day that will come when he will no longer ask me to carry him or ask me for a goodnight kiss. Though I can't wait for him to grow up and be the great man I know that he will be, I also can't help but dread that inevitable day when he's grown old enough to be out on his own. So for now, I try to cherish every single moment, every single second that he's my little baby boy. "Hold on tight. Okay, my love," I remind Neo, who's seated firmly on the swing, his head turned back as he gives me an eager smile and nod. "Don't worry, Mommy, I won't fall," he says as if he is so sure about it. I tilt my head at him, curious. "What makes you say that, sweetie?" His face softens just as his smile does too. "Because you're here and you would never let anything bad happen to me." My heart melts at his words before I give him a kiss in the middle of his forehead. "That's right, my son. Don't ever forget it." A few seconds later, Neo is squealing in happiness as I carefully push him on the swing. Not too strong and not too weak as well. It was just the right amount of height needed for him to enjoy his time. I love hearing him laugh. The high-pitched voice fills my ears, and it's a lot like listening to your favorite music over and over again. I could put it on repeat, and I know that I will never get sick of it. Sure, sometimes I would choose a different song to listen to from time to time, but this one song, this I will always find myself unconsciously going back to, because it's my favorite out of everything. A little while later, we hear the sound of an ice cream truck, and this excites Neo immediately. "Mommy, ice cream," he shouts midair, and it doesn't take him long to use his feet to stop the swing. Even at this young age, I know that his strength is developing, and compared to other boys that are the same age as him, or even those that are a little older, he is evidently stronger too. It's the little wolf in him, and a time will come that I will have to teach him all about it. But for now, I will keep enjoying him as just Neo. "Okay, baby, what flavor do you want?" I ask Neo, who's eager to get off the swing and run to the ice cream truck. He giggles before shooting me a wide grin. "Mommy, you already know my favorite flavor, Neapolitan." I let out a soft chuckle. A year ago, when I first introduced him to the world of sweets and he had his first ice cream, I gave him Neapolitan, which was a mix of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. He had fallen in love with it immediately and dubbed it Neapolitan, which was a play on his name. "Of course, my love. One Neapolitan for my Neo coming right up." I pat his head and he lets out a soft laugh. Just as I was getting ready to push myself back up and turn around to walk over to the ice cream truck, though, a figure appeared right behind me, taking me by surprise. It was so massive that it blocked most of the sunlight in front of me. All I could see from my view, though, were a pair of black pants and black shoes. "Daddy, you're here," Neo said excitedly from behind me. "Daddy?" My brows furrowed into confusion at Neo's words. I've never heard him call anyone that, and I would definitely know if he had one. "I am, son, and I have your favorite ice cream." The unknown figure speaks, and his voice sends tingles down my spine instantly. I know that voice. It sounds so familiar, yet I can't fully wrap my mind around it. I can't tell who owns it, but there are two names that are circling in my head as of the moment: River and Titus. It's either one of the two, I know it. Slowly but nervously, my eyes go up and up to see the face and find out who the owner of the voice is, the father of my son. But just as I've reached the top where the face should be, all I see is a blur around it. My heart drops to the ground in a heartbreaking sentiment. What the hell was going on? Why can't I see the face? Isn't this real life? I turned around to take Neo in my arms, but he's no longer right behind me. He's too far. He's standing a few feet away from me, and I push myself up from the ground, but the more I run, the further away he gets. I start to feel scared and begin to panic. What the hell was going on? Why can't I reach my son? My breathing becomes erratic and my chest is starting to get tighter. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I think I'm going to collapse. Ow! Shit! I hit my head under the glass table and placed my hand on where I got hit, gently massaging it. Shit. This is going to leave a bruise. I let out a deep and frail sigh when it dawned on me where I really was, and what was going on. I wasn't with Neo. I wasn't playing with him at the playground and pushing him on the swing and was about to get his favorite ice cream. It was just a dream. A dream that was supposed to be nice and happy, but to me it was just cruel because it made me remember how much of a terrible mother I was because it wasn't real. I looked around me and felt another wave of sadness drown me. Papers scattered all over the floor, ripped, torn, and crumpled up. There are also paintings and drawings of Neos around me, some that still have stains from my tears, as I often fell asleep crying as I held them close to me. It's been 3 days since he disappeared from the resort in Phoenix. 3 days since we last had any news on him, and each day that passed, I became more and more desperate for anything. It was hard to get even a wink of sleep without feeling guilty every time I saw his face and realized that somewhere out there, he was probably crying because I wasn't with him. Every time we came close to getting information, it always turned out to be a fluke or a dead end. The files of Elisha that were found in her office at the hospital was the closest thing we got, but even that came up to nothing. Though it did prove her involvement with the whole thing, it didn't lead us to where she could possibly be. Titus, oh Titus. He has been the kindest and most helpful all throughout this terrible situation. He's used all his connections to help check airports, bus stations, and every other mode of transportation. Elisha's face had been plastered on every wall, every post, every public place that would give us just 1% of a chance of finding her and Neo. Unfortunately, none had come up to be useful. Desperation set in, and so did my depression. Each waking day, I found myself hating my existence more and more. I could barely look at myself in the mirror, and whenever I did, I would flinch in disgust. I was a pathetic mess, but even so, I didn't want to give up. Even when I hated every cell of my being, I would never give up on finding Neo, even on my last dying breath. There's a knock on the door, but I don't move an inch from the floor where I've been sitting for probably hours. I can't move, or rather, I don't want to. I'm staring at photo albums, scanning through pictures of Alicia, and as painful as it was for me to see her, I had to push through. I believed that one of these would lead me to where she could be hiding with my son. Another knock on the door, this time louder. I continue to flip the pages of the photo album. She looks like she's on a medical mission. She's smiling as she's talking to a little boy on a wheelchair. My chest tightens, and I feel it hard to breathe. How could someone like her do something so vile? How could someone who saved lives just take a young and innocent little boy and do goddess knows what? What did my baby do to deserve that? I start to cry again. It's all I've been doing aside from all of the research. Somehow it's become my second nature. I don't stop myself from letting tears stream down my face. I don't think I can anyway. Somehow, it's like the pain and heartbreak has been embedded inside of me, and all of the tears come out without stopping. Keira, I hear my name called out just right after the sound of a door being forced open. When I look up, it's Titus, though I can barely make him out as my eyes are blurry from all the tears. I could sense his presence, and I could smell his strong scent. Funny how I found my mate, someone I thought had long stopped existing, and yet it was almost the last thing on my mind. It's like 110 degrees here. Keira, are you trying to get yourself killed? You need some ventilation. Titus is rushing towards the windows, and I hear him opening things up, but I don't move from my spot. Keira, damn it. He lets out a frustrating growl, but one that is still restrained. He doesn't want to get angry, I can tell, and it's not like I want him to either, but I can't help that I'm in a rut. I don't know what else to do. A part of me, Fuyu, feels our bond every time that he is near, and though it is strong, we can't act on it. I'm barely able to keep myself together, so how in the hell do I expect myself to bond with someone else? Besides, ever since that day on the pool, when it seemed like Titus was about to reject me, I don't think he also has strong feelings about our mate bond either. Have you even eaten anything today? He asks, and I think about it for a second before realizing that I don't exactly know when it was since the last time I ate. I shake my head and I feel my stomach grumble angrily. Christ, okay, I'm making you food. For now, drink some cold water. He rushes to me with a tall glass of water. Look, I know you have a far better healing ability than normal wolves, but it's not going to be able to keep healing you if you starve and dehydrate yourself to death. You need to take care of yourself too, Keira. If you're too weak, how are you going to keep looking for Neo? Damn it. He's right. Again, I let out an aggravated sigh before wiping my tears and blowing my nose. Definitely not in my top 10 of prettiest moments. But what the hell can I do? You're right, I admitted. I heard Titus sigh deeply. It doesn't matter if I'm right. What matters is that you keep taking care of yourself. Now, what do you prefer? Seafood or meat pasta? I smile a little at his question, but it fades away quickly. Meat sounds good. He nods his head before disappearing into the kitchen. I don't know what it was specifically. Maybe it was the breeze coming from the windows that I hadn't felt in a while, or the cold water that quenched my thirst, or maybe, just maybe, Titus's presence that had suddenly made me feel calm. Whichever, my body began to feel lighter, and the couch seemed much softer than minutes ago. And before I knew it, I began to drift into sleep. I woke up to a very strong scent of food, specifically that of beef pasta and tomato sauce. It's been a while since I've smelled freshly cooked food, so when I caught a whiff of it, all my senses were heightened, and when my eyes opened and I saw the bowl of food in front of me, I got excited. Whoa, slow down. The food's not going anywhere, Titus says before adding another comment that made me chuckle. Aside from your stomach, that is. Sorry, it's just really good. Where did you learn to cook like this? I ask before shoving a few more mouthfuls of the really good tasting food. The blend of spices is perfect, and the ingredients seem so fresh. Even though it's a rather simple dish, the way it was made makes it taste much more flavorful. Do you think just because I'm an alpha that I have servants and maids to cook for me? Titus asked with a raised brow. Is that a trick question? I can't tell with his somewhat poker face expression. Yes, I replied unsure, and he gave me an offended expression before I apologized with a soft laugh. It's good to see you smiling again, even for just a little, he says, and I feel shy almost instantly. Sorry, he shakes his head. I know things are rough, but we're not giving up, okay? I promised you we'll find them, and we will. You'll keep fighting, remember? Titus looks at me, and my heart beats frantically in my chest. He's so devastatingly handsome. It's been a while since I've really looked at him, and I know that it's probably mostly the mate bond talking. But right now, I can't stop admiring him. If I stare at him any longer, I don't know what I'd do next. I think I might end up kissing him. Oh, goddess, what happens if I do? Will he act on it too? Or will he reject me like he was planning to back then? I can't think properly. I feel bad for even thinking about this when my son is lost. My head's a mess. My heart is even worse. Goddess, I'm a mess. A knock on the door pulled me away from my thoughts, and both Titus and I turned our heads to the door. Expecting company? He asks, and I shake my head somewhat confused. This triggers Titus, and he immediately stands up, already in defense mode. All right, don't worry. I'll protect you. Just. Before Titus could finish what he was saying, the door just casually moved open, likely because he somewhat broke it earlier, and two people stepped inside. One I had not expected at all to see, but his friendly face pleasantly surprised me, and the other I knew I could not escape, but his annoyingly good-looking face was hard to not get a little taken aback from for a quick second. Nonetheless, I focused on the former. His name comes out of my lips like a word I've longed to say again. Zane. River Colden. I couldn't stay still all the way back home to Norway. As much as I didn't want to leave Keira, I didn't have much of a choice either. I knew I couldn't stay long, but with everything that's happened, all I wanted to do was be there for her. Unfortunately, she felt otherwise. Keira was heartbroken. She was devastated to her core, and I wouldn't have known what was going on had I not heard murmurs and whispers from others in that asswipe's pack. I couldn't believe it at first, but it all started to make sense. Besides, why would someone lie about her past? Keira was all alone. Her entire family and pack had been murdered brutally, and it was her brother's brave action that saved her. It seemed so unlikely that it was my parents that had found her, but maybe it really was fate. I wanted to comfort Keira so desperately, but she didn't want to be anywhere near me. And I guess I understood it, but at the same time, it pained me to keep being there when I knew I wasn't exactly welcomed in. So I left, but with the intent of coming back as soon as possible. I just needed backup. No way. Oh my goddess, no way. Winter was the first to arrive in my office, and she was already shocked to her core. Keira was pregnant this whole time? She has a child? A boy. How did she raise him on her own? Did she? Allura arrived, likely because her sister mind-linked her, and she asked questions like her mouth had turned into a machine gun, and she had words for bullets. All their questions muffled in my head as I sat back down on my chair in the office and looked down on the table, papers and other things scattered all around it. I was gone for what? 2 days? And there's already so much shit to catch up on? Fuck, not even a high schooler coming back from break had this much damn homework. This is why I can't stay away for too long, even if I wanted to stay with Keira, but I don't have a choice. I need to come back there as soon as possible, a day or two being the latest. There was so much going on with the discovery of an heir and then him disappearing, mixed with the fact that Keira hates my guts, so I didn't really know how to go about it. I just know that being this far away from her wasn't doing me any good. Why the hell did she have to choose a place on the other side of the world? And even worse, the temperature made me feel like a popsicle stick melting during summer. The door almost broke into pieces when Zane swooped inside at super speed. Where is she? Where is she? Ah, the man I wanted to see. I greeted a flustered Zane with a smile. She's not here, I said, and this quickly made him more aggravated. What? You left her there? You left her with your son? And also, when did she have a son? Is it yours? Damn it, River, how could you leave her alone? Can you please shut up and let me talk? I growled, and the room finally became silent after I kept getting bombarded with all their questions continuously. Don't tell me to shut up, you idiot. Zane, of course, my hard-headed best friend in beta, was quick to talk back. Whoa, easy boys, don't rip each other's heads off, Winter said, trying to pacify the situation. I pushed myself off of the chair and planted my hands on my desk. Did you think I wanted to leave her? No, I didn't, but Allura was right. I glanced over to Allura, and she had a confused expression. Keira hates me, and I begged, but she didn't want to come. I wouldn't even have known that I shake my head. We had a child if the boy didn't show up out of nowhere. I recognized him immediately. His eyes, I paused, getting lost in the memory of the exact moment I saw Neo. It's been engraved in my mind, a memory I kept repeating in my head over and over again, and sometimes I still can't believe that it's true. River blue eyes, light bisque skin tone, pointed nose, rosy lips and cheeks, and of course, the raven hair with streaks of silver. Anyone who has met Keira and I would see the child for a split second and would know in seconds that the boy was ours, no doubt about it. Do you have a picture? We need to see him, Allura gushed, but disappointment filled her when I shook my head. The thing is, something bad happened when I was there. What? Zane was quick to rush to my side, his eyes darkening in fear and anxiety. Did something happen to Keira? Not her entirely, but our son. He was taken when I was there. What the fuck? So what the hell are we doing here? We need to go there and find him. Zane was always letting his emotions get the best of him. I love this man almost like my brother, but it's one of the things we could never agree on. He fought with his heart, and I fought with my mind. Do you really think we could just go there and infiltrate the human world without anyone thinking something unusual was going on? Besides, you know damn well we don't even have enough resources to go around here. That's why I came back here. Because I pursed my lips before letting out a deep sigh. I lean closer to Zane and lower my voice so the girls won't hear it. I need you to come back with me. We can't take others back there, but you were close with Keira, and I figured if she sees you again, she'll be more convinced to lower her weapons against me. You know? Zane looks at me seemingly unconvinced for a few seconds before shaking his head with a sigh. I told you you were going to regret it. Fuck off, Zane. I do regret it, okay? Is that what you want to hear from me? Well, I'll say it again. I fucking regret being a dick to her and everything I did. Happy now? I groaned, defeated. A half smile curved up his lips. First of all, it's not my happiness that matters, but it does feel pretty fucking good of you admitting the way you fucked up. My jaw muscle ticked in annoyance as I glared at him. Second, all right, I'll go with you, but I can't promise it will do much good because let's be honest. Zane looks around, giving Allura and Winter a glance before looking back at me. Nobody here really stood up for her that day, and I'm sure she still remembers that. But I'll do my best for her to also remember that we were a family once, and family fucks up from time to time too. I gave him a nod before placing my hand on his shoulder. Thanks, man. I know I can always count on you. He scoffs. Don't get sappy on me now, it's gross. Hold cheft, shut up, and we both laughed. I'm glad to see you both get on the same boat, but you forgot one iceberg here, Titanic. Allura spoke up, cutting mine and Zane's moment. What? We both turned to her curious. If both the Alpha and Beta are gone, how do you expect the pack to function? We already had enough problems without you, and Zane managed to fix most of it. But if nobody's staying then, Allura had a point. A very good one, but of course I already thought about that. In fact, I wouldn't even have been able to make this proposition towards Zane if someone else hadn't agreed to another thing beforehand. River Colden. 2 hours ago. What am I doing here? Sky asked the second he swung open the door to my office, and he leaned against the doorframe, glaring at me. It's nice to see you too, little brother. Sit down. I gestured to the seat in front of me, but he merely raised an eyebrow at me. I don't listen to your orders. He huffed before looking away. God damn it, I would use my alpha tone on him, but I don't really have the time nor the patience. Plus, I needed to be on his good side for this. I'm tired and jet-lagged from my flight, but if not now, there was no other chance to get this done, so I might as well get this over with. Fine. Do whatever you want. Just hear me out. I didn't call for you to fight with you, Sky. I cleared my throat and pushed myself to say it. I need your help. In all 6 years of me as Alpha, I've never asked anyone for help. Sure, my Beta and Gamma come in from time to time, but that was their job. They're there to guide me to protect and care for the pack, but from my younger brother? Our relationship had gone into flames a long time ago, and neither of us would actually be expecting one or the other to ask for help, but here we are. It was obvious Sky was a little taken aback by my request, but at the same time, he was also curious. I took his silence as an indication for me to continue. It's about Keira, I said, and just those 3 words were enough for him to give me his full and undivided attention. I told him about everything, how she was, how I found out about our son, and how he was taken, and at the same time about Kira's past. Safe to say, Sky was completely taken aback by the amount of information that he slowly walked towards the couch in my office and sat down, blinking repeatedly. Okay, he finally speaks up, breaking the eerie silence in the room. What can I do for Keira then? He asks as he looks at me, seriousness in both his stance and look. I'm not sure how long it will take, but I'm really hoping it won't be too long. I need to help look for our son and at the same time be there for Keira, and I'm taking Zane with me, so. You want me to sub for you? Sky understood my proposition even before I could say it. I'm not going to lie. I may have not been able to bond with my little brother as much as I wanted, but I can't deny that this little boy really has grown up so much. I've seen him fight from time to time, and if I'm not in my prime condition, I know he can beat the hell out of me. At the same time, his knowledge when it comes to things one wouldn't normally be familiar with is outstanding. At such a young age, he's already doing more than half of the things I've done during that time, and I don't mind it. Not at all. In fact, I support and commend him for it. It's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, assigning him to be Alpha for the meantime. You read minds now or something, little brother? I gave him a small smile. He looked at me with a grin. I don't need to read minds to know what you're thinking. You're kind of very predictable, Storebror, big brother. You're annoying, I said to him, shaking my head with a smirk. He pushes his hair back before clasping his hands behind his head. Yeah, it takes one to know one. Present. Oh, don't worry, I've got that covered. I gave Allura a reassuring smile in which both her and Winter looked at me with the same uncanny expression. It didn't help that they looked almost exactly the same, save for Winter's hair being a tad bit shorter. But yes, they were pretty much giving me an unconvinced look. What? Did you manage to figure out how to clone yourself? Winter asked jokingly. Just then, the door opened and Sky stepped inside, his closest friend in the pack, Dax, right behind him. Better. Sep, he's got me. Sky said with so much confidence, I'm honestly here contemplating when the hell he got so good at this. Everyone turned to him, intrigued and fascinated. Well, this is going to be interesting, Winter commented, in which they nodded their heads at. I've told Sky all that he needs to know, and I'm pretty sure he can handle whatever mess you throw him into. Not that that is a go signal for either of you knobheads to do so. The twins giggled mischievously at each other. I mean it, I emphasized my sentiments, and the two shot me an innocent smile. And you, I turned to both Sky and Dax. Both of you, don't fuck up, Sky scoffed. Same goes for you, big brother. Don't fuck it up with Keira. Not again. I sighed. If only he knew that it was exactly what I've been trying so hard not to do. I have a confession to make. I turned to Zane, who already had a sleeping mask on his face, and his airline seat reclined. We had only taken off like 10 minutes ago, and he's already gotten himself comfortable. Meanwhile, I was still anxious as hell, because I had no idea what I was coming back to. It's not like Keira gave me her number, so I could talk to her, and even if I did somehow get it, I doubt she would tell me anything. You actually have a micro-penis, and that's why you overcompensate? Zane joked, and I almost elbowed him on his ribs, but contained myself. Fuck off, this is serious. Zane must have caught the sternness in my tone as he got silent for a second before gesturing for me to continue. I let out a deep breath, bracing myself for letting him know what I didn't want the others to, yet. Keira didn't just have a son when I saw her again. I swallowed nervously. She also had a mate. Zane practically jumped out of his chair as he sat up and in one swift motion pulled off the sleeping mask, and his gray eyes stared at me intensely. What did you say? Keira has a mate. I painfully and slowly nodded my head. And he's annoyingly good-looking. Not like, oh, he looks nice, yeah, but more like turn your head so fast you'd break your neck just to get a second look at him type of good-looking. Zane stared at me, blinking for a few seconds. Are you turning gay on me? I punched him on his arm. Say that again, and I'm testing how fast your healing is. He raised his arms up in defeat. All right. I'm just fucking with you, but seriously? How? When? Are they together? I shrugged my shoulders. I don't know the specifics, but by the looks of it, I think they've recently just met too. They don't seem to be close, but I know the longer they're together, chances are they won't be able to stay away from each other soon, which is why I wanted to get back as fast as I could. Zane looked at me with a raised brow. Okay, so you're not gay, just a homewrecker. I punched his arm again, and he growled at me, which made a few curious heads turn to us. I don't like him. He has some kind of burn marks on his arm. He seems dangerous, and I don't know. I don't want him to be around Keira. Is that your heart talking or your dick? Zane, I swear to the goddess, I'm going to. I was about to punch him again when he stopped me and apologized, shaking his head laughing while claiming that he'll be serious. Well, I haven't seen him, but if you say that he's not good for her, then I trust you. Good, because I'm going to need your help when it happens. I tell Zane before turning to face up front and relaxing on my seat. When what happens? He asked in a whisper tone. When we kill the son of a bitch. I thought I was still dreaming when the door swung open and revealed a face I've only seen in my thoughts and dreams from time to time. But when he greeted me hello, I knew it was more real than it could ever be. You look like shit, Kay, he said with a light chuckle. Still the sweetheart that he's always been, it seems. I still look better than you, though. You cut your locks? That was the only handsome thing about you. I teased, and he narrowed his eyes on me, as if deciding whether or not to take me seriously. As kids, Zane and I bonded with either him being nice to me or flat out teasing me. There was pretty much no in between, and that's how we liked it. Goddess, it feels nice to see such a familiar face, aside from Rivers, that is, which isn't so pleasant. I thought when he left a few days ago, he wouldn't come back again. But I guess I was wrong. Though I couldn't deny that his sudden appearance with another guest wasn't so bad, especially with everything that was going on. I definitely didn't mind a change of pace. Just then, Titus loudly clears his throat at the side, making all the attention turn to him. I had almost forgotten he was there, but now that I remembered, I realized how awkward this must be. I caught the way Zane eyed Titus, as if he was getting ready to get into a fight with him, and had I not known Zane in the past, I would think he was being a little overprotective. River definitely told him about Titus. What he said, though, that I don't know. And to what do we owe this displeasure? Titus exclaimed, and I almost laughed at the way River's face scrunched up in annoyance and his hands quickly clenched into a fist. Provoking River was one thing. Seeing him provoked was pure entertainment itself. "No one's talking to you, asswipe." River scowled. Titus shot him a glare. "And no one wants you here." He moves his head to face Zane. "Let alone another pretty boy. Oi, watch your mouth. I just got back from an almost 18-hour flight, and I slept through more than half of it, so I've got a pretty good amount of energy to burn. Tough guy." Zane puffed up his chest as he cracked his knuckles. River does the same while moving a few steps forward towards Titus, who was releasing a low growl from his chest. "Easy, boys." I finally decided to step up and cut the tension between the three before I had a bloodbath in front of me. I could barely clean up the mess I've made with all the papers around me, so 3 wolves on my floor was definitely not possible, and I'd rather not put in that effort either. "Did you forget what they did to you, Keira?" Titus turned to me, chest heaving as he breathed deeply, and seemingly tried to control himself from pouncing on the two with his fangs and claws. "Oh, right. I told him all about what the White Howlers did to me. Well, most of it, at least. I took out the part where I was madly in love with River for so long, though he knew we were in a relationship before he banished me, and nobody really stopped the banishment, except for his younger brother. Though Zane tried to talk River out of it, he still chose his side in the end, but it's not like I could entirely blame him. Even an 18-year-old friendship could never overturn the bond of an alpha and his beta. He was bound to choose him in the first place. No matter what. I didn't, but fighting isn't going to solve anything. You came from a long flight, right? I guess you're tired and hungry. I turned to the kitchen where the smell of Titus's beef pasta lingered. "There's not enough for them. I only made it for the 2 of us," Titus exclaimed, almost as if trying to say they were clearly not welcome here. Valid point. But like I said, I liked the change of pace, and having Zane here also meant another intellectual mind to help with the search. I would like to keep him here. If I could mind link with Titus, I would mutter an apology, but I couldn't, so I just gave him a slow nod as if for reassurance. "Order food. I'm not paying, though. Go use your kroner," I said to Zane with a soft chuckle, and he gave me a joking salute. "Oh, and if you'd like, Zane," I bite my lip in thought, "you can stay here for the meantime. I would really like your help with the search and all, assuming someone's already informed you about it." Zane nods his head, a flicker of appreciation in his eyes. "I know, yes, and thank you, Keira. I'll do my best. Good thing I'm one hell of a hunter, huh?" I shake my head with a small chuckle. "That was years ago. You're going to have to prove your worth again, Frost." "You're on, Akari." "Hold on. While I do appreciate a heartfelt reunion, what about me? Can I stay here too?" River booted in the conversation, and awkward tension filled the room in seconds as I glanced at him with a raised brow. "The closest motel is a 10-minute walk from here, but if your Alpha Highness can't stay in one, the nicest hotel is 30 minutes away. We're full here." "What?" I turned around and walked back to the table where my remaining food was still waiting for me, ignoring any of River's mutters to Zane. "As my beta, you're not allowed to leave me to suffer in some dusty motel. Get out of here. Your alpha command on this one isn't going to work on me. Besides, I can protect Keira from here. Suck it up, Your Highness." Zane teased, and I suppressed a chuckle. River groaned before shooting one last glare towards both Titus and Zane, then walking out of the house. As soon as he was gone, the room felt much less stuffy. Zane starts walking up to me with a smile before flopping himself on the empty spot on the couch beside me. He pulls out his phone and starts scrolling. "So, is anyone up for pizza? I want to try what these Americans are so obsessed with." It was 8:45. Usually by this time I would either be in bed with Neo to tell him a good night story or pushing him to quickly wash up so he could go to bed during days he would overplay sometimes. Right now, though, I was all alone on his bed, holding the last book I was telling him the story of and trying my best not to have another god-awful breakdown. Safe to say I was doing fairly terribly at it. I crouched into a fetal position and tightly held onto his pillow in between my thighs. It still smelled like him, coconut and vanilla. He had chosen the shampoo and soap when we were in the grocery once. He had always been in love with the beach, so when he saw the shampoo set, he begged me for it endlessly. "I miss you, my little boy," I whimpered into the pillow, my tears getting them wet. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you, but I promise Mommy will never give up. Please, please don't give up on me, baby." Lately, talking as if he could hear me was my one way of coping through this tragedy. I've hoped a million times that there was a way I would be able to connect to him, for his mind link to suddenly appear out of nowhere and so we would hear each other, but I knew that wasn't possible. Nobody that young, especially one that wasn't exposed to the wolf ways, would be able to gain that ability. I cried harder as my grip on his pillow tightened as well, and somehow I wished that I would just morph into his sheets and fade into the world. Maybe this was my curse. Maybe this was how my life was just meant to go for being the last one alive in my pack. Was I really meant to survive all of that? Was I meant to be saved by a brother I never even knew and get away from the horrifying things they had to go through? One of the things that had no doubt been bothering me ever since that night, I found out, was the fact that if I hadn't met Titus or his pack, it was likely that I never would have even found out about my family. Sho wouldn't even have met me, and I would have lived my life not knowing that many years ago, my entire family sacrificed so much just so I could live. Revenge has crossed my mind more than I would like to admit. I've thought about finding out more about those bastards who ruined hundreds of innocent lives because of their greed and destroying theirs as well, but I stopped. Mainly because who was I to be thinking of something like that when I had a much bigger problem in my hands? Here I was, a mother who had lost her son, and she was thinking of revenge? What the hell was wrong with me? Neo, please just give me a sign, anything to let me know that you're all right. Please. My sense of hearing was heightened, and my ears perked up when I heard noises from the living room. Immediately, I pushed myself off of the bed and grabbed a baseball bat under the bed. If it was a mere human robber, defending myself by turning into a wolf wouldn't be a good idea. I'm sure Fuyu could defeat them even if I haven't battled in years, but I wouldn't know what to tell the cops if they showed up. The baseball bat was the best option. Slowly, I tiptoed towards where the noise was coming from and positioned myself to get ready to attack. I was already having a shitty day, and now this? If only Titus and Zane were still here, but the two had gone out a few hours ago to hunt, and as surprising as it seems, they seemed to hit it off well too. By well I meant, they looked like they could last some time without ripping each other's heads off. Quietly, I pulled open the door of Neo's bedroom to take a peek. Unfortunately, it was too dark to make out anything. I had forgotten to turn on the lights as I was just inside the room, and so I couldn't see anything aside from the door moving and making creaking noises. What the hell? Why was the perpetrator just messing with the door? Concluding it was now or never, I started to lunge towards it, ready to attack with the wooden bat in my hand. Whoever it is, they better be prepared for my force. "Get the hell out of my house, you piece of shit!" I couldn't see anything aside from a dark figure by the door, though that was all I needed to start hitting. I've had a shitty few days, and you come in here? You picked the wrong damn house. I kept on hitting even when the person was saying stop. I just wanted them to go away. "Keira," the person shouted, and I had a millisecond of confusion. How did the perpetrator know my name? I continued to use force on them, though. It's even creepier that they know who I am. Was it a planned attack? Keira, it's me. Wait, what? It's River. Stop hitting. River? Oh shit, River. After my brain finally realized what was going on, I dropped the bat and ran towards the light switch. When I flipped it on, it all came to light, quite literally in this case. Damn. Kay, did you join a baseball team or something? Where did you learn to swing a bat like that? River said jokingly as he held a hand to his nose that was bleeding. A lot. Oops. What are you doing here? I thought you'd be with Zane. He sighed as he pushed his hair back. I'm not really in the mood to be with the asswipe. Titus, I corrected him. Whatever. Anyways, I wanted to stay and protect you. Looks like I might have not needed to, though. He let out a soft chuckle before stretching his arms. I caught a few bruises beginning to form. Damn, I really did a number on him, and I was fixing your door. He looked down where there was a toolbox on the floor. Well, he could have texted, and wait, he doesn't have my number. I never gave it to him. Well, this is awkward. A part of me didn't like being around him, but seeing him look beat up because of me wasn't really helping my case here. Though reluctant, I knew I couldn't just leave him outside bleeding and bruised, even if he is going to heal in an hour or so. When you're done, if you want water, I have some. And, an ice pack too, I said, trying not to sound extremely awkward. River looked at me with a sly grin. Are you inviting me in? Don't get your panties in a twist. I just don't want you dripping blood on my front porch. I told him before turning around, but I paused when he called me. Keira, he says, and even after all these years, it seems I still can't shake off the tingles I feel whenever he says my name. I cleared my throat and didn't turn around in order to mask it. I know I've said it 100 times, and saying it 100 more isn't really going to make a difference. But I hear and feel him take a step forward. His scent that was once my favorite becomes stronger, and I stand my ground, trying my best to keep myself from doing anything I would regret right after. I'm really sorry for everything, for leaving you like that, for forgetting you, us, everything we had with each other. I never stopped thinking about you, you know. In my morning runs, I'd turn around and call for you sometimes, but remember you weren't there anymore. The hot springs were never the same, and I couldn't bring myself to come back because I thought about you every time. Honestly, everything was so different after you that it just felt wrong. River takes another step closer, and my heart beats faster. I've missed you so much, Keira, and I swear to the moon goddess I will do everything to make it up to you. I feel him gently take my hand and my brain says push it away, but my heart feels otherwise. I let him hold it, my body frozen still on the ground. Everything, Keira, he repeats, softer but at the same time firm, even rejecting my mate in order to make you my rightful Luna. I watched as River thoroughly admired and took in everything around Neo's room. The medals he got for being an active participant in most of his classes and extracurricular activities, his trophies from sports camps, and picture frames at the top of his drawer where he's smiling widely with all the awards. He really likes sports a lot, doesn't he? He asked without turning around, feeling one of Neo's baseball uniforms. It was red, white, and black, holding a close similarity to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I still remember Neo's excitement from the fitting to when it arrived in the mail. He was over the moon excited, and he wore it to bed for a whole week until he realized he needed to take it off to get it cleaned. Yeah, he does. Baseball first, soccer second, basketball third. He once saw a hockey game on television and wanted to try it too, but ice skating rinks aren't really popular here. I told River as I stood by the doorframe. I didn't want to get too close. It wasn't that I wouldn't be able to control my emotions and do something with him. It was mostly because I didn't want to strengthen said emotions, and with his words earlier still lingering in my head, I knew I needed this distance. I could teach him, you know. We could go to the frozen lake we used to go to before. Your ice skates are still there and... Stop, River, just stop. I pushed my hair back in frustration before letting out a sigh. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. I didn't mean to. He confessed apologetically as he turned to me with a solemn smile. It's just that, seeing all these things, it's kind of making me a bit emotional. He takes a picture frame of me holding up Neo, who was smiling widely with his trophy. That was after he won the Most Valuable Player award in basketball. I kept thinking to myself that I could have been there, you know. He could have been on top of my shoulders, smiling proudly, and I would be that cheesy, proud dad. If only I had known, I would have given up everything if so. He raised his head up to look at me, his blue eyes piercing into mine. Why didn't you tell me? If you had just told me, you know I would have done everything for him, for our son. I clenched my jaw tight as I looked away. That's exactly why. You would have cared for our son, but not for me. I didn't want to be some kind of mistress or concubine, just there to bear your children. I didn't say you would. No, I raised my hand up in a stop gesture. You didn't, but you can't tell me that it wouldn't have been like that. In case you had forgotten, the day your mate arrived, you forgot I even existed. Right there in the white banquet, I was so embarrassed as everyone stared at me in shock. And where were you? You were drooling in front of her. I sighed and pursed my lips. I'm getting too emotional. Blurting out all these things is bringing back all the unpleasant memories and making me remember all the pain and heartbreak I went through. I don't want him to think that it still has an effect on me, that he still affects me, even if it is slightly true. Okay, point taken. River said awkwardly, obvious he had no idea what else to say. I wished I had known long before. He began again. I mean, a part of me didn't really believe that you could do that anyway, hurt Ivy or anyone else for that matter. He said, and the mere mention of the woman's name made me internally cringe. That's one name I could live without hearing, that's for sure. What about the other part of you? I asked with a bitter chuckle. You still doubted me, didn't you? And that's why we could have never worked out. That's why I left and didn't fight for my place in your life or in any of the White Howlers who seemed to have forgotten I was once their family. Damn it, Kay. I didn't mean it that way. Save your breath, River. It's been 5 years. You'd be surprised by how much one can get over with during that amount of time. What's done is done, and frankly, I'm only allowing you to be here so you could help look for Neo. When we find him, you can go back to Norway, or wherever you want. I don't care, but whatever you do or say won't make me go back with you, so just stop trying. Having said my side and used enough of my energy to make my point, I was about to turn around and get some fresh air, far, far away from River, but he caught me by surprise when he swiftly ran up to me and pulled me in for a hug. My entire body stiffened up instantly. What are you doing, River? Let me go, I said, but my actions were the opposite as I just stood there. His touch sent tingles down my spine, and I hate to admit it, but it instantly brought back my old memories with him. The good ones when we were together, and his favorite thing was to surprise me from behind, covering my eyes with his hands and making me guess. It was always him, always behind me or beside me. Always the guy that gave me surprise hugs, always the guy that had a small bouquet of flowers he had picked up from one of his runs and just bunched it up all together. He was a romantic, the kind of guy you don't really see often because they'd think it was too feminine, but River never cared about those things. River only cared about making me feel happy and loved. We were so in love, so determined to be each other's mates, no matter what anyone said to us or even behind our backs. At that time, we knew we had each other, and it was all that mattered. How wrong we both were, but mostly me. I don't want to let go, not anymore, Kay. When I found out the truth from Ivy, I felt like my whole world had shattered. I've lived in a lie for 5 years, and I know it was my fault, but I just can't help but feel awful about all of it. I just want to make things right. Please, Kay, just let me make things right with you. With us. River tightens his hold on me as he buries his head onto my shoulder and my hair. He inhales my scent as if it's the only thing keeping him alive as of this moment, and once upon a time, it was this action that always made me fall even more in love with him. Once upon a time, every little thing River did made my heart flutter. This time, though, all I wanted to do was punch him in the gut because seriously, this man couldn't get it through his thick skull that I was never going to go with him no matter how much he begged. River, A loud bang came from the living room. It sounded like someone had punched a wall and broke through it. What the hell? The sound made both River and I jolt from surprise and worry. The only good thing about it is that it made him pull away as he stepped in front of me, like he was thinking I couldn't defend myself. I can fight just fine, I grumbled. Did you forget about the bat? I asked him with a raised brow. His bruises have healed, but I'm sure the memory of me beating the shit out of him is embedded in his brain. At least, I hope so. I know, but I want to protect you. Can you stop being difficult just this one time, please? I scoffed at him. And who exactly gave you the right to tell me what to do? You're so annoying. Get out of my way. I shoved him with force. He was likely not expecting, so he stumbled back a little. I took that opportunity to pull open the door further, and when I looked around, nothing seemed to be out of place. That was until I turned to the side and saw Titus standing rather ominous, and it took me a few seconds to connect the dots. His fists were clenched so tight, they were turning red from the pressure, and right in front of him was a huge hole. So I was right about the noise. Someone did punch the wall. I was just surprised that the someone was Titus. Shit, he muttered before shaking his head like it had now just occurred to him what he had done. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. He looked perplexed, like he really went into some kind of autopilot mode for a split second there. It's all right, Titus. Did you just get back? Where's Zane? I looked around, but there seemed to be no signs of him. He took another route. He'll be here in about half an hour, he said. Shit, Keira, I'm really sorry I broke your wall. I'll get it fixed. Titus apologized sincerely, and it was obvious he was feeling guilty. What did he even see that had made him do that out of nowhere? And then it hit me. If he had arrived a few minutes ago and the door to Neo's room was slightly open, was it possible he had seen River and I hugging? Was that what had made him so mad? Nice one, ass wipe. River stepped into the living room and was already being condescending. I glared at him. Shut up. Why are you even still here? Go to your hotel or something. River clicked his tongue and was about to say something likely to annoy me again when Titus let out a loud gasp that made both of us turn to him. What is it? I asked as I looked at Titus, who was staring at the hole intently, like he was shocked and confused at the same time. I think there's something there, he said while cautiously leaning towards the hole. Be careful, you don't know what it is. I warned him. River let out a mocking chuckle. Probably just rats. You disturbed their home, asswipe. I was halfway on the verge of beating up River again when Titus inserted his hand into the hole, and all of a sudden, he pulled out what looked like files. They seemed to have been meticulously wrapped in plastic, so it was obvious the person who put them there knew what they were doing. But why the wall? Why hide it there? What for? If it wasn't me that put those there was only one other person who would. Clearly, it wasn't Neo either. Keira, I think these are Alicia's files, I said as I quickly ran up to it and practically pulled it out of Titus's hands. I pretty much ripped apart the cover and laid out the papers on the floor. I didn't care anymore. I was anxious and curious. I needed to know if these could help us find Neo. If they had been hidden behind a wall so carefully, then surely it had to be something, right? That's what I kept thinking to myself as I scanned the papers. Not a lot of it made sense to me, except for the medical tests. They looked the same as the ones one of Titus' pack members found from her office, but these ones were more specific, likely because this was her secret. Only she knew where they were. Until now. There. Is that a map? Titus pointed out something that was hidden in the bottom, and I quickly scrambled to get it. When I pulled it out and looked at it for a few seconds, I realized he was right. Oh my goddess, it is a map and there are red circles all over it. Titus, I think this is... He nodded his head as if to say he understood what I meant before he turned to the side and looked to be mind-linking with his pack members. They'll be here in a few minutes, then we'll hunt each spot encircled on this map, Titus said in a tone I only hear from him when he's exceptionally set on something, when he knows what he wants and he's going to get it. Okay. I eagerly nodded my head, nervous and worried about the whole thing. Just earlier, I was crying on Neo's bed and terrified that I would never see him again. Now, because of a punch on a wall, we may have gotten the closest to Neo after what seemed like forever. Thank you, Titus. Thank you so much for doing all of this, I told him, but I know that even with 100 thank yous, it still wouldn't be enough to really express how grateful I am for all that he's been doing. Like I said before, you don't ever have to thank me. He gave me a smile that instantly had a million butterflies fluttering in my stomach. If River hadn't let out an obviously annoyed groan, I would have completely forgotten he was even there. Suddenly, I don't know what it was that had gotten into me. Did I just want to piss River off, or was it the mate bond itself? Whichever it was, before I was fully aware of how my next action would affect anyone in this room, I had tiptoed to reach Titus's cheek and planted a kiss right on it. I just kissed Titus right in front of River, and though it was just a mere second kiss on the cheek, it was obvious this did a number on River as a loud growl erupted from his chest. And honestly, I would do it all over again. Titus Bain. He's been staring at me since we stepped out of the car and started surveying the resort. I can feel his eyes digging into me from behind, and if I didn't know any better, I would feel intimidated. But I did, and one of those was the fact that Pretty Boy doesn't and never will have any effect on me. 3 days ago, this place was filled with wolves, but because I couldn't exactly keep it that way even with my connections, the Phoenix Resort, where Neo disappeared that night, was back in business. Humans roamed around the place normally. Some bikini-clad women were even eyeing us up and down, and frankly, I was surprised Zane didn't seem to care about women flirting with him. He looked like the type to play around. Maybe I had misjudged him a little too quickly, though it was either he didn't care at all or was far too busy watching my every move. Was it out of curiosity, or was it because he was homosexual? I paused my walking to glance backwards, and he and I looked at each other for a few seconds. He's got this half-smug, half-innocent smile on his face, and his eyes tell me he doesn't know why I'm looking at him, so that means he doesn't think I know that he's been watching me. What's his game? I think to myself, but I look away before he can say anything else. I'm not in the mood to converse, let alone be interrogated. I only let him come with me to the resort because apparently he's this amazing hunter back in their pack. And also because Keira seemed to trust the guy, and between the fool aka River and this one, she seemed to like him more, so that means he could be much more trustworthy, if I could even trust either of them. So do all resorts here look like this? He speaks up. Women walking around in bikinis and men in trunks? It's over 100 degrees out, I responded without turning back to look at him. He mumbles something under his breath and I don't hear it, and I tell myself I don't care, but I find myself caring more than I want to. It's because of Keira. It's always because of her. If she allowed this guy to stay over her house without a second thought, then it means their connection is something more, something strong. Did he defend her when she was banished? I doubt it. He is still that alpha's beta. Betas never disagree with alpha's orders. What the hell is his deal? Mr. Bain, you're back. The manager in the lobby greeted me and I pulled away from my thoughts. How may we help you? This time, we can't close down the resort, though. It's a full house, he explains with a gesture around the lobby. He's right. There weren't these many people the last time Keira and I were here, which really makes me wonder how Elisha would have known that. How long had she been planning this whole thing for her to know where and when to take her so that there were not a lot of people? Her motives seemed so unusual for a human, that is. What scares me the most about all of this is the fact that she knew Neo was not just an ordinary child. She knew he was something else, which explains the different tests she got him to take without Kira's knowledge. I could imagine her lying to him, to the little boy. That sweet and innocent young child being told a lie so he wouldn't let his mother know. Twisted, diabolical, manipulative. The woman was pure deception, and my fists craved to smash into her face for taking away who belonged to my mate. I asked the manager if the rooms that Keira and Alicia stayed in were being used, and luckily, the guests who booked it hadn't arrived yet. We had about half an hour to go look around before they did. Zane went right to it. Since I hadn't seen him in action, I was thoroughly surprised at the way he worked. He looked aloof at first. Earlier, it was like he was all play and no work, But the second we walked into the room, it's like I had disappeared as he rummaged through the room. Are you going to be okay alone? I'll check the cameras again, see if she might have come back. It isn't likely, but we'll take whatever we can get. I informed him. Yes, Dad, I'll be fine alone. He joked, but I could tell he was still working seriously as he sniffed every nook and cranny. I shake my head before stepping out, not bothering to give him a reply. Half an hour later, we meet back at the lobby. Zane is walking towards me, but he's holding a box of donuts. I didn't say anything to him, but I guess my raised brow was enough for him to understand that I was questioning what he was holding. Did he get fucking donuts instead of using the limited time we had to search the rooms? Oh, this? He moved it to his front before raising the top cover and showing its contents to me. A couple of girls approached me, said I was cute or something, then gave it to me. Can't say no to free stuff, he said proudly before shoving one into his mouth. He pushed it towards me as if to ask if I wanted one, but I declined. I don't want to owe him anything. I don't like owing anything to anyone. She's still in the country, by the way, he said after his third donut, and I swiftly turned to him. How do you know that? Really, how? My men searched the place countless times but didn't find anything that would lead us to that information. Who is this guy? Because she can't fly with a kidnapped child. TSA would spot her lie in seconds. So her only option is to drive. Drive somewhere far enough, but not too far, because she only brought one small luggage, and if she drugged Neo, then she only had enough stock for, let's say, less than a day's drive. I could still smell traces of the chemical around the closet. He must have noticed how lost for words I was, because he adds, "Told you I'm good." I didn't say anything, I replied. You didn't have to, it was written all over your face. He responded proudly, and I was about to say something else, but he beat me to it. Anyway, you should get back to Keira. Nothing else is useful here. I've sniffed out every corner so we can cross this place off the list. Where are you going? I stood up from the sofa. Zane takes a last bite of his donut before cleaning off his hands. He then looks up at me, but instead of talking, he just really looks at me. Gray eyes staring into mine. I started to wonder if everyone in their pack looked like one another, like a bunch of characters from one of Trinity's favorite movies called Freezer, or something with white hairs, frosty skin, and light eyes. Well, if they did, no wonder Keira felt like the odd one out, and the irony of it all is they actually did cast her out. Zane shoots me a wide smile. Don't worry about it, big man. I'll take a different route. Sniff the place out. Go to Keira. She needs you more. River will kill me for saying that, but I know she needs a buffer in between them, and since I've got a job to do, you're the closest thing to do that. A buffer? What the hell is he talking about? I shook my head again, not bothering to ask him to further explain because it's not like it mattered anyway. I didn't know that as soon as I arrived at Keira's house, I would realize what he meant when I saw someone else hugging my mate. That someone being the guy I wanted to rip into pieces. Things kind of escalated right after that. I punched a wall. The wall ended up getting a hole. Somehow that hole was the key to a lot of things, and now we were much closer to finding Neo than we thought. And then Keira kissed me, only on the cheek, but hell, I wasn't expecting it and I felt like a love-struck teenager. Did I hate feeling that way? I don't know. But what I do know is that I loved the way it made the fool River look aggravated to his core. He was pissed as hell, and I reveled in that. You're dead. You're so fucking dead, he shouted as he was